Debbie Does Dallas.
Debbie does. One day I will be on here. But I got Captain Ron here.
Welcome to America's hottest talk line. Guys, hot ladies are waiting to talk to you.
Vinegar syndrome. Guys.
It's on Netflix if you want to watch it.
It's a new one, and that's Air Force One.
Get off my plane. I think Sony paid you a bunch of money to talk about all their steelbooks tonight.
Super special for the stuff, but you know,
are we seriously gonna have to talk about the screen movies again?
If you only see one movie this year, it should be Frankenhooker, Bill Murray, Ghostbusters, Caddyshack, Zombieland.
This is a movie I didn't think I'd like as much as I did, and I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Debbie Does Dallas.
We're actually showing something is they actually produced crew jackets. Like the movie never went into production, but it's got a Delta Force 2 motion.
Hey, that works either way.
That's cool.
Is anyone even there still? I don't even know.
Yeah, we're just listening to
Okay.
I was like, no one's saying it. Like,
really
into the story.
Bye, runner.
You too, buddy.
And he's out just like that. Mike dropped it, and he's gone. Hello, greetings. Hello, fellow fellers. Welcome back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene Vids. How y'all doing this evening, Tom and Rook?
I'm doing good. FanZcene and Tom was gonna say
Hanging in there.
Yeah. You can call me Greg, you know that. Rook always calls me FanZcene. I'm like, you can call me Greg.
No, I do some. I think I do sometimes, and sometimes I don't. It's just weird.
You can call me Dad, son.
You can call me Dad.
Some people call me Jeff or Rook. So it doesn't matter. It's like sometimes it depends on what comes to the tongue first.
Yeah, I call you both, I guess.
Yeah,
Yep.
It happens. I mean, that's what we go by, right? That's our name of our channels and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Exactly.
It's like, Tom, you even get called Midnight's Edge.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Midnight. What's the skinny?
Whoa.
I'm not very skinny.
But glad to have you two here with me as always for the Physical Media Show, and to the awesome chat and everybody out there. Make sure you guys share out the link, hit the like and all that. Let's get this party going. You know how the Physical Media Show rolls. I'm gonna say hi to some of the people in the chat right now. We got Random Brad. What's up, Random Brad? Good vibes to you. Yeah, we'll probably talk about this here before we get into our picks. But Hitchhiker 42, what's up? He says, "Hello, I hate the Aliens announced physical media cover, which makes it look like Ripley is late for the PTA meeting when
I said it was Speed 3.
Yeah, it does. But the R1 DVD special edition has a Queen in the Green Mist looking awesome. Yeah, I figure we'll talk about those covers because honestly, there's not the greatest covers for those 4Ks. But I'm happy to have they're coming.
The covers are probably going to be the least of the movie's problems.
Yeah, I was gonna say, plastic people abound. But welcome Hitchhiker 42, and Style Section says he's going to have to miss the show tonight, but he'll catch the replay. Well, I hope you enjoyed the replay, and we'll see you next week. And what is up, Brian Barth? Hell to you as well. Let's see who else we got here. We have Ace Hanlon, hola, my friend, and Cool Gamer, welcome. Doug 1985, Virginia Loves Horror, what's up? And Tornado T, hello to you. And then hail to Vic Fontaine as well. Thank you guys for hanging with us tonight. Might as well, since the Hitchhiker 42 already brought it up, you guys want to jump right into those topics of those three movies? Because that's probably the three biggest releases that we got. I don't think there was much other because there's a bunch of sales going on with it being Black Friday. But we got confirmation of True Lies, Aliens, and The Abyss. And I think are they all due out in March, or was it some I
digital in December, March they'll be on disc, I think is the plan.
Okay.
And Avatar was also announced. Did you say that one too?
Oh, I don't. I guess I didn't read about Avatar. I just read about them. I don't like Avatar.
Yeah, no, it's all of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Titanic is already coming out, I believe, this year. So.
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, the covers. Well, the covers were not very, very good. I guess maybe The True Lies was the best, but even then, it's just,
Floating head syndrome.
yeah. Let's see if I can pull them up real quick. I'll go find the pictures of them real quick, so everybody can see what we're talking about if they did not see the covers. Well, we'll just start with this one here. Let's see. Oh, you got it up. I was just about to do it. But I didn't know.
So
what
yeah,
happened.
there's Marvel's The Abyss. I'm sharing the wrong screen. That might be weird.
Yeah, I was wondering what's going on there. I was like, what? Okay, there you go. Yeah, look at that.
For some reason, I only got like half the page.
That's cover people loved or
There
hated?
we go.
Yeah,
this is probably one of the better of the three, but
yeah.
The one
The
I have
original-
is just kind of floating like a silhouette in like a blue.
I was gonna say that down there in the bottom, that's like the original poster right there.
Right. Yeah, I bought it, but I haven't watched it yet. Or like I bought a version of it and haven't watched it yet. But
We
it's
got
on my list. It's
Avatar.
on my list.
Yeah.
That's what we needed.
Avatar.
Yeah.
I just don't get people's love for that movie.
And I think it's still only the theatrical version in 4K. But you do get the 3D version in there, which I think has been out of print for a while.
Yeah, and so
And then,
Digital Bits. Yeah, check out the Digital Bits article because they got all the good.
Yeah, all the stuff that's on them.
Yeah.
Titanic, True Lies.
I don't mind that one too much. It's just,
Seems
It
alright.
looks fake.
yeah, it doesn't look right.
I mean, the original
And
cover is
Speed
just like
3.
a close up with him on the gun.
It does look like Speed 3 does, like where her head and his head's like. Yeah, that doesn't really invoke aliens. I think they're leaning too much into that relationship.
I thought Aliens. I haven't seen all their covers, I guess, but I thought they had more simple designs for the aliens.
Well, that's one of the most horrible covers there. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
because they take the actual art from the original poster. Here, I'll show you. But they really futz with it.
Yeah,
Because honestly, if I look at this, I'd be like, this isn't a movie about aliens. Like, if I were to just glance at it, I guess. But
No, it does not evoke aliens.
no,
at
it
all.
doesn't, not at all.
and in fact, I kind of like discovering that she has to protect the girl. But okay, yeah, there you go.
That's the version
That
they ripped
looks-
off. basically.
that's
oh
the
yeah,
better one.
that looks pretty good. In the egg area with all that. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like that screams 80s action right there.
yeah, that was just, those covers do not look good. I'm happy to have them on 4K, and I'm not expecting much from them, especially with James Cameron. But the covers will probably be the like Tom said, the least of our worries from those, because Cameron loves to DNR, scrub his movies, make people look plastic and all that. So I'm not expecting the greatest of transfers for each of those movies after their long await debut on 4K and new Blu-rays. Blu-rays for the first
standard
time.
Blu-ray. I was going to say for a couple
Yeah,
of those.
yeah. Standard for the very first time. So that's crazy. What's this one I saw from Duck Nation? Because I haven't picked it up yet. It said, did you see the news about the TV cut of Duel 1971 that's included on the 4K disc? All they did was put it through AI upscale and it totally ruined it. Ooh, I didn't know that. That worries me. Haven't picked up Duel yet, and I was going to. Is it just
I should have mine next week, but that's weird.
Is it just the TV cut version of the film or the actual? I mean, because I know it was a TV movie to begin with, but I wonder. I don't know. Haven't. Oh, that worries me because I actually like that movie. That's what The technology is awesome in some cases, but some cases you don't always need to use it for certain things.
It is overused for a lot of things. It's like, wow, I need to, do we need a super duper toaster? Really? Do we need to have certain things?
Do I need to scrub film completely at all?
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. So he says just the TV cut, the theatrical looks great. Okay, that's good because I know it's a TV movie for us here in the States, but it was a theatrical movie elsewhere.
Well, what's the difference?
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. What's the difference? Maybe
Well, it's probably. I wonder if it's even up. It might even be just an up convert from an old version of what they had as far as available. That's probably why.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know about up converting, but what they probably did is put a bunch of DNR on it because that's what Universal did when they put out Waterworld. Even though they had the Ulysses cut, they DNR'd the fuck out of it. And they did the same thing on Studio Canal's version of King Kong when they put the TV cut on the other disc. They just added a shit ton of DNR. Yeah. So I guess to some people it may look like an up convert, but all it's doing is just scrubbing out all the grain, basically. Yeah.
All the good stuff.
But I should have that by next week, actually.
That's awesome.
Hopefully that's the plan, anyway.
Yeah, I have to get mine too. There's so many I need.
Actually, I think I should have it in the next couple of days here.
There's so many I still need to pick up myself, and I've been seeing like check the Black Friday deals for 4Ks, guys. Right now is the time to get you some 4K.
Oh yeah, you could get Mortal Kombat 4K, the newer one, for only $5.99.
Yep,
I saw good deals. Yeah,
I saw Clockwork Orange was for $5.99 on 4K. Jurassic Park on 4K was $9.99. Casablanca was $9.99. Blade Runner on 4K was $9.99. They have an amazing sale for a lot of movies right now. So, and from what I understand, this might be Best Buy's last Black Friday. So it looks like they might just be getting rid of all their inventory from some accounts. So if you guys still so if you guys can still get to a Best Buy, check it out, because they're probably just getting rid of whatever they just keep in the back and they never put out. So
well, the sad part is they probably don't have much in the stores, but online that might be a different story. So yeah, what I do is I download the Blu-ray.com app for several reasons.
Yep.
But one main reason is they also show you all the deals, the current deals. You can go by current deals, you can go by different sites and all this kind of stuff. And so yeah, I do suggest checking that out if you want to keep up to date with the best deals available.
Yep. There's some good ones going around right now. I know I picked up a few.
Yeah, I picked up a few I didn't even really want to, but they were so cheap. I was like, whatever.
Yeah. I'm thinking about, picking up a few more tomorrow. So
like I got Creed 3 because it was cheap. And
I thought about that, but
I haven't got it in the mail yet.
I mean, I did actually like Creed 1 and 2, but then the third one just does not look good. Plus it's got Kang. So I'm like,
I know, but I'm a fucking completionist.
I know. That's me too, because I'm like, maybe I need to get it. I'm not.
Even if it's a bad nut, I still got to get it.
Yeah.
No, like there's that one. Like there's a few others I haven't got yet, but no, I broke down on that one. There's a couple of older ones that I just missed out on that I just never had gotten before. Like Earthborn and a few other ones that came back around real cheap. So
yeah. Which star is the one with
the newer one, the only one that's on 4K? Yeah,
I got that one.
Yeah, Lady Gaga.
Yeah, Lady Gaga. My mom I like that movie, but I'll never watch it again because the way it ends. And I was like, Mom, we've seen every version of A Star Is Born. You know how this movie ends,
right?
Yeah. So
well, with that,
yeah, with that, let's go ahead and jump, because I don't think there was any other releases mentioned other than the big James Cameron movie. So we'll go ahead and start with you, Tom. What's your first pick of the night?
Oh, we're starting right off with me, huh?
Yeah, I figured.
Where do I run this with? Let's do these first. Speaking of DNR, scrubbing, all that business. This was the news making the round for the last week or so. I got the Steelbook for American Graffiti, and it's almost kind of indicative that this art on the front is horrible.
Yeah,
it's a very busy front.
Yeah, just a lot going on there. The only thing I like is the back, really.
That's a better cover. It's a back.
I should have just went with the original version.
That cover is so busy. Holy shit.
Here's the original that's on the standard 4K.
There you go. That's simple. That's nice and simple. There you go. Yeah.
I should have just got that one. Because somebody take George Lucas's computer away from him.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm done with this shit. This really was heartbreaking because I was looking so forward to this disc, because I know George scanned the negative in 6K. So I was like, oh, that's going to look amazing. He scrubbed the ever-loving hell out of it. There's been a bunch of drama about the whole thing. In fact, there was a unnamed YouTube channel who even had a video put out there full of all kinds of inaccuracies, making excuses for this transfer. I don't know if you guys were aware of that or not, but I was following some of that drama. In fact, some of the other YouTube channels or the Blu-ray channels reached out to me about it.
Who was?
Yeah.
You'll have to tell me in the chat who that was.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not gonna say out loud, but yeah. So there was a big kerfuffle about that. I am curious to hear what some of the more professional people like Bill Hunt will say about this, because this needs to be called out. I mean, look, I get it; it's probably not Universal's fault, but whatever they did, I can't believe George did this part, because this is what bothers me. It's scrubbed to shit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But then somebody added a layer of the fake grain on top.
Ooh.
So it looks even weirder than if it would just been DNR. So you've got the original grain completely scrubbed away. So everything has that soft, weird, plasticky kind of look. And then another layer of grain laid on top of it. And then so whenever you have anything that's fast movement within the frame, like a head or whatever, you'll have that halo of grain following their head all the time. And that's the dead giveaway that there's been a bunch of DNR applied to a picture, right? Like that's the easiest way to see it. And unfortunately, I can't even, because the older Blu-ray is not much better, because that one's got bad color timing, and I believe it was taken, and it was also DNR'd to hell as well. But you get the same thing in this new version anyway. So, I mean, as far as like I was telling, Greg before the show, like maybe for a Black Friday pickup, because the picture, as far as the colors, looks better. Sure, it looks better than the old Blu-ray, but at the end of the day, that's the best I can say about it. Why George does this, I don't know. He's been doing this since way back in video days.
Does he think that makes it look better?
They have, I don't know. It's just certain directors, and I don't know why they get it in their head like this, because James Cameron's one of them, Peter Jackson's one of them. They think grain is a bad thing. They think they're being hip by going, well, yeah, I'm going to scrub out all the grain because the kids don't like the grain. They think it makes it look old tiny.
The grain shows like when it was from, essentially, and they're trying to go back to those originals. And
well, it's not just that even, Rook. It also shows detail, right? It's resolution, like you know how Pixel works, right, on your screen, like when you're looking at it.
Well, yeah,
on your computer. I mean, basically, it's the same way film grain works. Only film grain isn't a perfect, pixel, right? It's many different sizes, many different, and it's constantly moving and making the picture and the colors and all that stuff. So, yes, you're going to get stuff that's inherently grainy at times, but at the end of the day, you want a certain layer of it there. You want to be able to see the resolution. Sure, you want to pull out some of the noisier grain sometimes, and that's what the NEAT program is supposed to do. It's NEAT. I don't remember what it stands for, but like that mixed with a little bit of DNR and the balancing of it out could make a good picture. In fact, I'm one of those who I don't think you should be using any fucking DNR at all.
Is DNR like digital and like
digital noise reduction?
Digital, yeah.
See, because that's the other thing is you're letting the computer decide what is noise and what isn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And especially when you get to things like animated films, or when you get things that are very close to color on top of each other, the computer can't always differentiate, so it'll literally like blend those two things together sometimes. So if you look at some of the older Disney movies, they found out like there's lines and stuff that were being erased when they were doing some of this stuff. And in the more recent Lord of the Rings releases, there's tons of scenes for examples, but like there's one specific one where Gandalf's staff literally like just melts into the background because it's almost the same color as the stone behind them. And when they did all the DNR grain scrubbing, it scrubbed out all the detail of the top of his staff. So now it looks like his staff is only like half there.
Yeah.
That's weird. Wow.
And did the grain, like we talked about once before, like with the film grain and using actual film and stuff, it gives it like this dreamy type feel to it. And that's, like how we mentioned is like why films look different nowadays is you're not getting that effect anymore.
And the closer you get to the original negative, the finer the grain gets. So that's the thing is, as long as you're using the original negative, the fine grain is what you want. You don't want like when you got like 12 layers into a print, like when it's like a later print or something like that, that like you can't find the negative, let's say. Sure, you're probably going to have to, in fact, that'll come up on one of my next picks at the end here. I'll talk about it some more. Or sometimes you're just going to have to use a little bit, and I get it. I understand it. I don't agree with it, but they're going to do it because they have to. They feel that they have to. So
I was going to say, like, has there been a film that has benefited from having DNR?
Not in my opinion.
Yeah, not really.
I'm trying to imagine like a film. I don't know if the film was like
they're really, trying to reach a balance,
really
like
crap
neat,
or something, and then it's
like
oh,
DNR and neat can be used if like you have a scene. Let's say you got a scene here, and you got 2 shots within that scene that are not from the negative. Okay, let's say that they're not from the negative, they're like 2nd or 3rd generation down. And let's make it even more difficult. Let's say you got one that's from the fine print negative dupe, so that's 1 generation removed. And then you got another shot that's from the inner positive, which means it's 2 generations removed. Okay, so you go from 2 or 3 shots that look like pristine, perfect color picture, everything's perfect, to a shot that's not quite as perfect. It's a little dingier, the grain is larger, there's something about it that looks different to the human eye, back to the normal good stuff, and then all of a sudden back to an even more grainier, weirder looking picture. You'll have that sometimes. So sometimes they'll try to balance that out in a scene to where I'm just like, you know what? I can accept it. And we can already tell it's happening. Just let it go. But they'll do that sometimes to try and balance out the grain level throughout all those images throughout a scene sometimes.
And it stands out even more. And
it does stand out even more. Exactly. Yeah. So to me, like the best scans that I've seen are like Vinegar Syndrome does amazing fucking work. Sony does amazing work. They make sure that you see the original grain. And I don't think, honestly, Vinegar Syndrome applies any DNR whatsoever. They could use a little, if they do, it's so fucking slight. I have not been able to pick it out.
Right.
And they have gone as far as they don't even fix blemishes sometimes, to where I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
In fact, like last week, like I talked about with the Toxic Avenger, that's part of its charm. So I'm glad they didn't clean it up even more than they already did, because I like it having some of the, scratches and pops and stuff in the film that are there in lines once in a while. It's part of its charm.
I think like with Vinegar Syndrome, I think what they mostly do is fix the Vinegar Syndrome. That's what they mostly do, because you get all these movies. For those who don't know, like I'm sure, Rook, if you don't know, Vinegar Syndrome is what happens to film over time, especially older films that were like low budget stuff that were shot on maybe not as expensive film. It kind of sort of gets this vinegar smell to them and stuff. So basically they just clean that up and make the image back to the way it was supposed to look.
Okay. To be honest, when you said Vinegar Syndrome, I thought that was like a band or something.
No, it's the name of a company that does it.
It's a company, but it's also the name of a process that happens to film.
Yeah.
Especially
I don't know if I've ever heard that, or maybe I've heard you guys say it before, but
yeah, it gets off a gas that smells like vinegar, so that's why they call it that.
Okay.
And then I also, since I had it, watched more American Graffiti, because I didn't have enough abuse in my life.
Also, do you recommend American Graffiti?
The original one is a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll start a nerd fight and say that this is George Lucas's best film ever made.
I have not seen that, but I haven't really put it on my list because it's just always kind of listed as one of those other films George Lucas did. Essentially,
well, he actually directed and wrote this one. This one's one of his movies than anything else. Otherwise, people forget that he didn't direct again until Phantom Menace, and he only directed the prequels and the original Star Wars. Otherwise, American Graffiti and THX 1138.
Also,
nope, he just produced it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, that's the thing. He produced a lot of shit that he gets like associated with, but
yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, Red Tails.
But okay, so I suppose I should probably get into the story, since I doubt you've ever seen American Graffiti, Rook.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. Nobody usually recommends it, but they mention it. Like,
it's a great fucking movie, actually.
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
It's the last night of high school for these 4 friends, and one of them is one of them's technically, it's 5 friends, and one of them's technically already out of school. One of them's still got a year or 2 to go, but the 2 main friends it's their last night. Right. And they're getting ready to take off for college. And so it's just basically a slice of life of the last night of their life. But it also is a bit of a slice of the time period, because it takes place in 1962. So it's right before the Vietnam War. right before the British invasion, aka the Beatles coming and changing music and all that kind of stuff, right before the hippie movement and all that kind of stuff. So it's the last group of the 1950s teenagers.
Yeah, the last of the
And that's-
Americana, like.
Yeah, and that's significant because that group was the first group of teenagers to actually influence commerce and the way things like rock and roll that was made by teenagers, right? Buying records. Like teenagers actually became a force in the you know, by getting their own jobs, having their own money, buying things, you know, going to soda shops and all that kind of stuff. There was an whole industry around catering to teenagers now. And so this movie is built upon that era coming to an end, the cruising culture of that era, the music of that era, the courting rituals of that era. And at the same time, all these men in this movie are they're basically a split up version of George Lucas. Okay. He had dreams and aspirations of wanting to be a race car driver. That was cut short by an accident. So instead he became a filmmaker. Well, you know, also a part of him wanted to be a family man. So all those parts are split up among these characters in the story. It's just like a little slice of life. One night, the last few hours of these guys' time together before they all spread out and go to their own lives kind of thing. It's a great fucking movie. There is no score, right? There's no musical score. The soundtrack is wall to wall classic 50s and 60s music.
Yep.
There's only like 2 or 3 times in the whole movie where there's absolutely no sound or music, and it's at very poignant times. Otherwise, the score is the soundtrack. Plus, the way they technically did the sound at this time was, I mean, stereo sound and multi-channel sound had existed for movies, but it was really kind of stilted and stale. Like it didn't quite work the way that George wanted it to work. So what he wanted was called a real world feel to the soundtrack. So what they literally did was they would take like the songs, which 9 times out of 10, because up to that point, stereo wasn't real common yet in music, they would have monaural, which means just one channel sound for the music. So they would literally put it in speakers and take like 2 stereo mics and run it past the speakers and stuff to make it sound like it's a car driving by. So you actually hear the sound go from left to right on, you know what I mean? Living in the atmosphere and having the echo, like doing it in certain rooms and certain other areas to kind of capture the stereo echo of the sound to make it sound like it's coming from a dozen different cars. You know what I mean? Just to kind of get that sound that you used to get when you go pull up to a you know, like a drive-in back in the day, and you'd have all 10 cars playing the same radio station. Because at that time, Wolfman Jack was the king of the airwaves, and he played all the, you know, big rock and roll hits at the time. So like all that is kind of just encapsulated in this little movie here about George's, you know, life growing up in Modesto, California. So it captures a very specific, you know, type of teenager growing up. And it does a really great job of doing it. It's full of, you know, just all kinds, like it's a movie you could really tear apart, especially if you know George Lucas, because the one character goes on to be a writer, one character becomes a family man, one guy goes on to be a race car driver, and the other guy's a nerd. You know, like so, like so it's all of George Lucas wrapped up into 4 different characters, you know, kind of a thing. And then you got the women in the story too, which is kind of interesting because in the sequel, the women kind of take more center role. Because Candy Clark, who's in the first movie, is barely in the first. Well, she's in the movie, but she's not that big of a character. She's like one of the main characters in the sequel.
Yeah.
Did George direct the sequel too?
No, he just produced it, and he gave his wife a fucking nightmare of a living for a year or so trying to edit this fucking movie because he wanted to do all this split screen stuff all the time with multi-camera shit running. I guarantee you that this movie, if you just ran all the footage not at the same time, this movie would probably be 3 hours long or more.
Right.
Because you have like multiple camera shots going on at the same time, capturing different story points and all. It's nuts. It's actually kind of a strange experimental movie, and watching it this time, I enjoyed it more than I did the first 2 times I've seen it. So I've only watched this twice before, once on video and once when I got the DVD, and I was like, "Yep, nope, I'm not watching that again." But I've got the Blu-ray, and I'm like, "Okay, fuck it, it's time to fucking watch it." There's not even a menu on this bitch.
It just starts.
The movie just starts. You can't even do anything.
You don't want to waste your time. It's like, no, just go.
You can't get in any menus. There's no special features whatsoever. If you want to change the audio track, you got to do it yourself. Because there is actually like few languages on here, but it's like, how would people even know unless they just sit there and flip through the audio?
Yeah, go
But
through it over and over.
I did get a 5.1 surround sound remix, which is kind of nice because this one, same thing with the music and all that business. Like this has got some great music on it too. Obviously, more late 60s music, but and as you can tell, it's definitely more hippie oriented. The only person who doesn't return, believe it or not, is Richard Dreyfuss. And I mean, it's kind of fitting considering, but I actually enjoyed it a little bit more this time than I did the first time. It's a weird movie and it takes place over like 3 different time periods too. It's like 2 years, 3 years, and 4 years after the original film.
One of the reasons why it always irked me was like they told you what happened to each person at the end of the first movie, and then like they had to fudge some of that in the sequel.
They don't really fudge it, but the way they make it work is they kind of fuck with you.
Yeah.
Right? They fuck with you, especially with Charles Martin's character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with just a tiny bit with Paul LaMatte's character. Because, like, I mean, at the end of that movie, they tell you what happens to them. So they're kind of teasing you with things that you're expecting to happen around the corner. But they don't happen the way you expect them to, I guess, is the best way to put it without spoiling it for, like, Jeff, who may actually want to see these movies at some point.
I mean, I'll see the first one for sure. I don't know if I want to.
The second one's better than I remember, like I said. But I'm watching it again this time, going, you know what? I see more of what they were trying to do here. It's just, it's not as bad as some other sequels. I'd say it's a little overbashed, I guess. At the end of the day.
It sounds like one of the ones where, I mean, for me, who needs to still watch a lot of things, probably one you guys would even prefer that I put lower on the list if I were.
Oh, definitely. The first movie way up there, more American Graffiti, if you ever come across it, kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as this goes, Brian Barth, I do wish Lucas had directed more movies other than Star Wars. More movies like American Graffiti, I should say, because Star Wars, once he got to that was it. He wasn't going to make any other type of movie.
I thought he had the passion. I thought he had some type of passion to want to make other films that weren't Star Wars. Anyway.
See, that's the thing is he wanted to make more movies like this, but Star Wars wouldn't let him.
Yeah.
It's like I thought that's why he sold it to Disney. I assumed after he sold Disney, he was going to.
At this point, he's too old, Rook. He's
I know now.
Personal shit. Yeah.
Go back 10 years. I thought that he was like going to at least make a couple of indie films or something. But did he make any after he sold Star Wars?
Not really. Not that I know of.
Because like at that point, he let go of Star Wars. So it's like Star Wars doesn't have the grasp on him. So I kind of thought he would have done at least 1 or 2. Indie films. I could see him taking his time trying to make them, maybe, but I don't know. He might have lost all passion at that point to do anything if it drained him.
Well, yeah. Much. At this point, he's like in his late 80s or whatever. I heard rumors that he may have had some health issues lately. So, yeah.
I just wonder what like caused such a driven man to just like be completely opposite within a certain amount of time. We're talking from the release of the Phantom Menace to like when he sold it, that he got drained in that time, just totally passionless afterward.
He felt like he got beat up by the fans. I remember there was a quote one time where somebody was talking to him. I don't know if this was just a rumored quote or something that actually was real from an interview or something like that. But he had mentioned supposedly something about, if I do anything now, they're just going to hate it anyway. So he had kind of come to the conclusion that he feels like everybody just hated what he did. Which at the time they kind of did, to be fair. But I mean, I guess in hindsight, he's gotten, the last laugh with how shit's turned out. Because now everybody's just begging for him to come back.
Come back, George. But
on that note.
Yeah. I wish he would have made more movies like American Graffiti, though, before he got to Star Wars or something.
I kind of wish a lot of directors that are very in Hollywood and like have to do whatever with their system. Like if they were to, okay, that's my last Hollywood movie and then like they retire from that, but then maybe do even just one like independent project of some kind, like without whatever restraints they have for Hollywood or however that works, like just let loose their way.
He has had no luck outside of Star Wars. That's the other thing too. I don't think he directed it, but he produced Red Tails.
That was in 2011, right? That was somewhere
years ago, yeah. And then he also did an animated film that when he sold Lucasfilm, Disney just buried. So like
the poor guy didn't even promote his last.
They didn't even promote his last movie. He was just a producer on it, but still, it was like
I'm imagining him being like in a desert and like he's been stomped on by camels and he's just like, I just want to have one. Nope, fuck you. Nope. Disney's like, nope, fuck that. Take away his water
what
bottle.
they wanted.
Take away his water
You
bottle.
made your choice.
Like, just let me die.
But I see you got a super chat there that can possibly lead into our next pick here.
Yep, this is what I was going to go for Rook. So first we got here. What is that? Is that a euro or I'm not sure.
Australian.
Australian. That's what I was thinking. Australian.
Yeah,
It's Australian for dollar.
Christopher
Burkle. What's the best RoboCop release to get? I'm ashamed that I don't own any RoboCop on any format apart from Robodoc.
Well, if you can get it there, Christopher, the Arrow 4K release from last year is the best one.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the 4K, just get the Arrow Blu-ray. So it works either way. But the Arrow releases, the Arrow 4K is the best. The Arrow Blu-ray, if you don't have 4K, is the second best. That's the best to get for you guys. And with that being said, thank you once again for the Australian $7.99, and that will lead into Rookie's first pick of the night. But for giving us the $7.99, I give you this.
I'd buy that for $1.
I understood that reference.
There you go. What do you got? Show it off and give us some of your thoughts.
All right. You guys really wanted me to see RoboCop, so I bought that and got it. And I was thinking that it was gonna be like, gosh, it's like, it's one of the sci-fi ones gets blown out of proportion of hype or something. No, I actually fucking loved it.
All right.
It's one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yep.
I was shocked how much I liked it. It starts off again, very different tone than I was expecting, or just different way they were doing it. They're like, the Star Wars peace satellite, whatever is up here. They had some crazy stuff with the president, and okay, whatever. Next thing over here, talking a little bit about the news, and then you go down to meet the cops, and it just seems like they're in hell. Apparently, the cops are just getting their asses kicked by criminals everywhere, and there's a new OCP program trying to potentially replace them, and they're just like, oh man, getting crazy with it. And the guy shows the demonstration of his robot, and it's like, oh, it's a nice little demonstration, and then just murks the dude. At that point, I was like, whoa, what? This is wow, I was not actually expecting anything like that in this film, especially right away.
Dick,
pretty quick.
I'm
I was like, hold on,
disappointed in you.
I was like, I am in now. And then I love how after that guy gets just mowed down, they're like, all right, well, what can we do next about our business? They just totally don't.
Somebody call a paramedic.
Let's call paramedics.
When that guy said that, my favorite, that reminds me of a thing in Tremors 3 where this guy gets eaten by Graboid, and this old guy, he's swallowed and goes down. This old guy's like, is he all right? It's just like, no, he's dead. He's dead. But no, I just love that they're just so cold about it. Everybody else oh my gosh, and the business guys are like, all right, well, what can we do to this? Could be $50 million. Oh, we're fucked with it. Just totally didn't give a shit about the guy. Just how can we make money? Yeah. There's the RoboCop thing that could prevent malfunctions like this asshole did. He's like, oh yeah, okay, shut up, boy. And was getting started. Okay, this is pretty good. They do nice setups with it as well. The little laser taser. What was the name? They said TJ Laser.
TJ Laser.
Yeah.
The subtle, it's not like a brilliant setup or anything, but I mean, I liked that's just a visual cue that cues Lewis for later. It's like, that is the person under there. Okay, shit, because everybody thinks it's a Terminator, basically. Which I gotta ask. So, what year did this come out in Terminator?
This is 5 years after Terminator.
After Terminator. Okay, because I usually hear references. Terminator's the main thing that's referenced when it comes to this sort of thing. I don't.
Or 3 years. I said 5. I'm sorry.
Right.
Terminator was 84. This is 87.
Okay, I gotcha. But now this has a lot of fun to it as well. I mean, I wasn't expecting to have that great of a time with it. Who's the guy who does the bitches leave?
Bitches leave, Kurtwood
Smith. Can you fly, Bobby?
Can you fly, Bobby? You burnt the fucking money. Just got us fucking marked.
When they showed his mugshot or something, or they showed a glimpse of him, I was like, he's the bitches leave guy. Because that's the only way I know him from when you do clips on the show.
Just give me my fucking phone call.
I'll for $1. Just like that's such a dumb line, but I did.
Clarence Bardaker, one of the greatest screen villains of all time.
One of the greatest villains.
I work for Dick Jones. Dick Jones owns OCP runs the cops.
What my fucking lawyer.
Yes, dude, he's great as the little villain in there. He seems very silly, and a lot of the his goons remind me of like amped up Back to the Future lackeys or something.
They're diverse as hell too. Nobody ever noticed or brings that up usually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just made me think of the like laughing guy like Back to the Future. They're just laughing. He's taking a piss. She's like, put your hands up. Zip first, and then she looks down. Boom! Oh, stupid cop, late, stupid woman, silly woman. No.
Cops don't like me much, but I don't like cops.
It's just like a lot of the dialogue is what I would call not very good, but I don't know, the way it's executed.
It's comic book dialogue.
It is hilarious.
This is more of a comic book movie than a comic book movie we've gotten in the last 10, 15 years, dude.
It kind of feels like that. I mean, he gets shot like how many fucking times as well? That actually reminds me of the Punisher movie of the one, the John Travolta one. I keep on forgetting what year that is. 2005?
Yeah, I think it's around that time.
Something like that. Reminds me that he gets shot to hell in that movie, but now he lives. And this one, he's loud out, hand blown off, arm blown off, basically, and he's just like still kicking, gets shot in the head. And I'm assuming that he's like sort of not only he's like more brought back to life, I assume, by the equipment and machines and stuff. But I assume it's supposed to be
basically all that's left of him
hanging on to
his brain
memory of his family,
certain other. Yeah.
Hanging on there. Yeah, it was good. I mean, even by the end, they have snipers that blow people up. That's just like a rocket launcher, practically. Snipers. They look like they're right out of Halo. I don't know if Halo got influence on their design from this at all. But I made it immediately thought of Halo with the way the snipers.
Did you see where RoboCop shot that guy in the dick?
Yeah, I thought that was another like
best ever.
Who thought of this? Yes. Who thought of this sequence of like, they're just trying to get him, and then he's like, okay, scan.
Because in the original script, he just shoots past her head, and he shoots part of her hair.
That's very generic.
So like Paul's like, wait a minute, what if he shoots him in the dick?
Like I like how they like since this came out in the 80s, and like I've seen a bunch of things since then, at least, and it's doing a trope, but it did it different than what I see a lot of the current, they usually just are able to shoot the guy in a lot of in that same scenario. Nope, shoot through the skirt to the balls. It's just like, oh shit, okay, he didn't even try to kill the guy, just incapacitate him as best he could. The dude's like, okay, I'm going, all right, sure.
I mean, it's a good movie.
The effects
what's funny
on it
is
too,
one of those punks
really
is actually in Police Academy and Ghoulies.
They look familiar. One of them look familiar.
It's I'm trying to think of his name offhand, but shit.
There's like 7 of the movies. I don't remember all the characters, but some of them look familiar.
They call him Ratface in the first Police Academy movie too, and I can't even remember his name now. I'm just drawing a complete blank. I'll remember it in a minute.
Right. And
he's the one that says, I bet you there's more hair down there.
Yeah.
It's like,
Todd, you're going to have to give him that extra clip of RoboCop shooting, the extended scene.
Oh, God. Yeah, the extended scene, yes.
Well,
RoboCop don't like dicks.
Yeah, I guess not. But what was funny, too, is like that guy, one of the main minions, I guess, that he spared at first, and then... I don't remember the name. The guy that like the shotgun most of the time, I guess. At the end, he gets, was it acid or something? What was in the truck that like melted the guy?
That's nuclear waste.
Yeah.
Okay.
Scott Thompson is who I was talking about. Yeah, he played Copeland in the Police Academy films.
Okay. Yeah. Like I
was
expecting.
Yeah, the toxic waste scene is one of the highest tested scenes in this whole film, and they wanted the MPAA was like, you got to get rid of that, and they're like, fuck you.
I'm glad they kept it in because the way that looked was very like a graphic. It was just like He's just melted. I thought he was just going to be dead and that's it, but it's like, no, help me. No, dude, what are they doing?
Don't touch me, man.
Yeah, don't touch me, man.
Like, oh my god. And I don't know, this was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't like I'm giving it a lot of praise. It's not like amazing for me, but I did really enjoy it. Like this was a fun one that does make me want to see the next ones in their series. I didn't think I'd be interested in seeing the rest of the RoboCop films, but I kind of want to check them out.
You'll probably dig part 2. I think you'll dig part 2.
I think you'll, part 3 is universally not liked.
Say no to drugs.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean it's like simple stuff, like it just goes down the stairs and the thing can't go down the stairs, and it's like flailing around
209.
It's just flailing around like a baby. And I was like, that's kind of just a simple, funny flaw for the thing. It's not like you didn't have to do anything super inventive to beat it. He fleed down some stairs and then it couldn't follow, so it was screwed. And then when he comes back to fight, there's not a huge showdown. He just takes the sniper rocket launcher thing and blows it up. Just like, okay, good. Yeah, you didn't. Yeah. Usually they try to do the huge battle sequence, and nope. And when the guy fires them, he's like, "Thank you. I can kill this guy. Like I can't do anything to this guy until he doesn't work for you." So nice. So
serve the public trust. Protect the innocent, and uphold the law.
Yeah, I mean, I like too how it's like kind of tragic. Where I assumed it was going to be that he reunites with his family, but I'm glad that they didn't do that.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting. Was he is able to find his son and his wife, and she has to or she's moved on, and he's got to go. Oh no. I'm glad they didn't do like the tropes that I'm kind of used to seeing with that. I was kind of expecting certain tropes to be laid out, and they don't do them. And this is in the 80s, so I'm kind of like, what? I don't know if at the time this kind of stuff was tropes at the time, but it definitely has been since then in a lot of films.
Well, a lot of the tropes we have today come from 80s movies. They weren't tropes back in the day.
Please put down your weapon. You have 20 seconds to comply.
But yeah,
you have 15 seconds.
It's a very deep movie.
9, 8.
Hey man, get it! Stop! Hey, help save me!
5, 4.
And then just
you
keep
now
pushing
have
that guy
no
away.
more seconds left.
Yeah, I give it praise. I was expecting to be disappointed, and I ended up being happy with it. And even the way that it's tragic in a way with it too. It's just like he's trying to discover what was left. He said he can feel them, but he doesn't remember them. I imagine that's similar to how people that actually lose their memories might be in some way. Like they're aware of something, but they can't really visualize it. So they have a feeling there, but it's not like coming together in a full picture for them. So and I thought it would be another thing where he gets his like full memory back too. And I'm glad they didn't, because I'm like, I like it being a little more I like there being hints of hope, but keeping some of the tragedy, because that's a little, as sci-fi as it is, that's kind of what keeps it a little bit more real. It's like aspects like that where it's not all going to be a Disney ending for you at the end. It's still
it's got a good. I like how Sean's calling you Runner. Did Runner watch Robo? Yes, that's what we're talking about. RoboCop.
Yes.
But no, it's actually got a lot of Christian Jesus allegory to the movie as well too, because Verhoeven was very Catholic, wasn't he? Did they talk about that in the RoboDoc? I haven't got to the RoboDoc.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, they talk about it. Yeah.
I mean, they go over it all over again. Like you have the crucifixion scene, the resurrection, and walking on water at the end. I mean, I even go as farther, because I don't know if they've even brought it up yet, but there's pretty clear parallels to Lewis and Mary, right? Because she nurses him back to health and all that business. And it's all there. I mean, and I mean, there's the devil in Dick Jones. Clarence Boddicker is his minion. I mean, there's a lot of allegory in it. I mean, his soul reawakening in the body. That's kind of what it's all about. Is like you said, Rook. He starts out as a machine again. He's brought back to life by all this equipment, and he just follows his commands. And as he started to be reminded of who he was, he can't really remember, but what he does have is the dreams. And like he says at the end, that great line, he goes, "I can't remember them, but I feel them."
Yeah.
And that's that's his soul waking up inside going, okay, I know I'm missing something here, but he can't quite remember his old life. So there's kind of that separation there too. And yeah, I agree with you on all the points. Like, it's a perfect fucking movie from head to toe. Even the remake isn't as bad as it could have been, and it actually flips some of those things. In fact, it does get more involved with the wife and all that kind of business. In fact, he was supposed to see his wife and kid in this movie, and they cut all that out before they even shot it. It kind of got all amalgamized into the scene where he just goes to the house and just walks through and has the memories, and that, I think, is even better than what they had planned initially, because initially he goes home and his wife and his kid don't even recognize him. So then he goes and he goes to the cemetery, and he goes to his own grave, and that's when it finally dawns on him.
Right. I mean, I feel like that would change the pace and tone of the movie a bit if that kind of a scene was in there. I kind of like it being cut out, and it's just him piecing it together, sort of. And he has, even the reflexes and memory, like, shooting the gun, and he could just put it away, but he still does the TJ Laser thing that's instinctually kind of with him. So I kind of like little bits of humanity is still there, as much as they're trying to make him an obedient machine. There's still enough humanity there to differentiate it from a machine. And that's surprising for me. I don't know. I liked it. And I mean, the fact that they're trying to build the whole point is that they're calling it Old Detroit because they're trying to build a new city, right? That's the whole.
It's supposed to take place like
Old City.
Yeah. So I mean, I like that there, and how like the old city is like has all the. I don't know.
This movie takes place in 1991.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to
made in 87.
I was about to ask you guys. I don't know if there's a parallel they're drawing with the city and the old Detroit and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like what I don't know exactly what they're drawing.
Well, at this time you had Reaganomics crumbling. You had Detroit falling under its own weight. It was falling apart. It used to be the heart of America with Ford and all that kind of stuff. Being big deal, and just in general, it was just crumbling, and crime was at a high rate, and you had the privatization of prisons and private security firms coming into the fold. And that's kind of where OCP comes in, because that was just, there's like a stand-in for all these companies that were buying up all these prisons and starting all these private security firms and all that shit, and buying in. They're basically built on military contracts and all that kind of stuff. And literally, you've got the cutthroat world of business being portrayed where, like you said earlier, these guys are literally getting killed in the boardroom, and they just move on with their day with business like nothing happened. Because at that point it was so cutthroat. Like, these guys would literally just be like, your job could be, your career could be over by the end of the day in certain cases. And so that's kind of and what they were portraying here, and even just doing it literally. The whole movie is a satire, right? The whole movie is like a poke of, this is where we're headed right now. And it was way far ahead of the game on certain things. And of course, I mean, we could probably make somebody into a RoboCop now, but thank God we've gotten, we haven't gone that far yet. But I mean, we've surpassed many of the other things that are in this film. Like, hell, even your phone has more memory on it than RoboCop does.
Right.
Does it actually say the amount of RAM and hard drive space that he has in the movie? And it's so fucking quaint in comparison to what we deal with now. Like, you could make a RoboCop that would be amazing in comparison. But like, that's one thing I do like about the remake, is that they do take some of the elements that have advanced. It's not so much a satire. It is more of a straightforward story. It does ask the questions about, is a person, or are they a piece of property? A little bit more, because I mean, they do ask that question.
Well, I actually don't want to hear more about the reboot. I'm intrigued enough to check it out too.
You might want to check it out, because it's a much different film. Just don't go into it expecting it to be the same kind of satire.
It's more of a. Usually, I don't expect the reboots to try to be the same satire anyway. Really.
And there was one of them that actually kind of took some of the questions that the first film didn't ask and actually asks them. So, like, but you're right. Like, at that time,
me to see it. So I'm
the way the first original movie and the second film picks up, I think 6 months after the first movie, and the second film sticks with a lot of the same tone of the first movie, so you might enjoy it. There's some elements that some people didn't enjoy. It does go a little bit more in the darker side of things, because the basis of the story for the second film is OCP's trying to build a new RoboCop, literally calling it RoboCop 2.
Right. One of the things I appreciate too is because again, I haven't experienced this, and I don't know exactly what it is, but I mean, the cop, the police force there, the chief, I don't know, was he the chief, or who's the main guy in charge?
Oh, the old man? He's just the head of OCP.
I mean, the black guy. I don't know.
He's talking about the police guy, the chief of the police, the black guy.
He seemed to be
the head of the police.
He seemed to be in charge. I couldn't tell, but he seemed like
OCP owns them, so they work for OCP. See, that's why they're on strike. And that was actually something that happened in New York. The police went on strike.
Okay, well, yeah, that's why I was trying to see if they were trying to relate that to a specific event or not.
What's funny is you can bring it up now with a lot of the BLM stuff and the defund the police thing. That'd be interesting if they did actually got a new RoboCop out, if they were to work some of that into the police striking again for the first time in 30 years because of all that business. Well, and that would bring RoboCop out of the basement.
Right. Well, that's interesting because like I was born shortly after that time period. I never heard of police going on strike before. So like I didn't know that was
it's a rare thing. It's only happened really like 2 or 3 times in American history, and that's kind of why it's a big deal in the movie. Like the reason they're doing it in the movie is because they've been taken over by this corporate entity and they're not getting paid like they used to, and they're being overworked. Crime's so bad, they're dying by the dozen daily, like all that kind of stuff. In New York, can't remember what year it was. I think it was 76 or 78. They had a strike, and that's kind of what influenced some of this. I can't remember exactly then what it was all about, but I think it had to do with pay and something else, and the way that the similar kind of things with crime and other things at that time. But otherwise, you got to go way back to the early 1900s or 19 teens to actually find a police strike.
Right.
Yeah, it was very rare. 71. Thank you, Cryam. Sorry, it was a little earlier than I thought.
Okay. But I mean, I love the tone that they have with the police station anyway, like how dire it feels. Like I thought it was like almost a scene ripped out of Starship Troopers, where it's like, but with less fun. Like same like they're just getting annihilated.
Same director, by the way.
Same director
of what?
Starship Troopers. Same director.
Oh, really? Oh, shit. Okay, well, good.
Yeah.
They're kind of supposed to be in the same universe ish. Like that's why they have all the news breaks and stuff in.
That might because this felt like Starship Trooper-y, but I couldn't really pin it as to why. But I was like, I wanted to reference Starship Troopers as I'm watching it, but there's different feels to it.
No, there's a clear tie.
The cops are trying to like be bros, but they're also kind of like, fuck all this. Like, what? We're getting our asses handed to us. Why should we be fighting this? Like, what is going on here? And I was just kind of like, well, there's just a bunch of criminals walking around, but then it's okay. It's a new city. So this is kind of being swept under, right? Like kind of this section. Like, were they going to build the city over this city or just in a different,
basically
with Detroit? I wasn't sure.
They already had kind of started. That's where OCP is. That's where the nicer part of town is. You see, that's New Detroit thus far.
Okay.
And as you get into the sequels, what you'll learn is old Detroit is still standing, but they're trying to evacuate it or move everybody around so they can demolish it and build over top of it. So yeah, that's the plan, right? Is to build Delta City over top of what was Detroit. And basically it's like this conglomerate buying up an entire city is what it is, basically. Yeah.
I got you. I'm imagining that the sentiment is that that's not a great thing to just build the new city over the old. I'm assuming that it's like, don't destroy the old here. Come on. Like you need to.
Well, no, because they're trying to get rid of the other element. See, that's the thing. And that's where, part 3 actually being as bad as it is really dives into more of that stuff. Cause you start to see what OCP is really up to. But
I mean, based on how you describe it, where that's like the rich part of town and then the other part isn't, it seems like, the more they're building the new city, the more the criminal element is being shoved into the other parts of town. Is that why there's such a high amount of criminal activity or something?
Well, it's corruption, and that's just kind of emulating the corruption that was in the 80s in New York and Chicago in the 70s and stuff like that. Breeds criminals, like where like the line in the movie they keep saying is good business is where you find it.
Yep.
Right.
There's a ton of little lines in the movie that really kind of like, and the whole thing was also commenting on how Americans were we overspent ourselves in the 80s, and that's what led into the crisis of the 90s, because America was living on credit in the 80s, credit we didn't really have. And not just America itself, but the average American.
And,
right?
And I assume the way the media portrays it too, they're like an upstanding citizen or something for the news thing. And they're like, yeah, well, we're paying taxes or something. And when they're talking about the police strike and they're doing their jobs, and then they show another guy, they're like unemployed person. And he's like, I don't know, man, it's kind of crazy or something. I don't.
Like I said, you can draw a lot of parallels now to our modern country right now with the way things are going. That's why I said a RoboCop right now would work really well. Especially if you dust him off like he's been in cryo freeze or something for the last 30 years.
Yeah, be kind of we need a little old fashioned. We need something a little.
Well, we were at one point in time going to get a little old fashioned, but as we've talked before, what happened with the director? He was screwed out of both an Aliens and a RoboCop movie.
Amazon is trying to make another RoboCop now. We'll see what happens.
Oh boy!
With the success of the game and stuff, I'm sure they'll try at least.
I don't know if current people, like, that's what I would worry about. Like, do they even understand what the point of the first ones were? Do they really get it? And if they were going to remake it, how do they retool it to a modern way that doesn't disrespect what it is like that? Because otherwise, what is the point if you're trying to revive it? I like the way you guys even describe it, like, bringing the old one.
Well, you were laughing right away when that guy got blown away in the boardroom, right?
A little. I was just more shocked.
So you got it.
I was more shocked with their reaction to it.
The whole movie is a satire, right? It's not meant to be I mean, it's serious, but it's not. It's like a tongue-in-cheek kind of like, this is where we're fucking headed, folks. Like the 6,000 SUX, right? It sucks. SUX sucks. You got Nukem, the game Nukem, right? Like that.
Yeah, I like the little commercial. I forgot to mention that. That was a funny little ad.
Breached my borders. Like, Pakistan is threatening to take away my aid.
No more reinforcements for you, Jimmy or whatever, buddy. And then blows them up.
Nukem.
Family game. Like, I like little creative things like that in there too. That makes it feel like whatever time it is as well. Like what commercials they would have.
Absolutely. Like totally feeds into it
as well. It made me feel that 80s without actually living through the 80s. A film like this. Yeah, this one is one I'd say encapsulates it pretty good, even though.
I just wanted to address that. He says it feels too relevant to modern day. You know what? It did then too. Right? You got to understand, like, I mean, maybe if you're old enough, you know what I mean. But that was the thing, is that movie was commenting on the Reagan 80s, man. and the military complex and all that business. Like, there's so much into that. Like, now you could use that too again. Like, and I think you guys are right. Greg said it. I think Greg or Rook just said it. We need Robo to get us right about now. We need somebody like that. We need a Dirty Harry type.
We need a little old fashioned. We need a little.
That's what we talked about.
Yeah, it was you that said it, Jeff. Yeah.
I think that's also what we said when you brought on the Dirty Harry movies, Tom. Is like, we need a Dirty Harry, Punisher, RoboCop type hero nowadays. It's all like, toxic masculinity, all this, all that. It's like, we just need somebody to be like, you know what? I'm tired of this shit, and I'm just gonna do it my way. That's what we need. We need somebody like that in movies and entertainment now.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing too where you see all it takes is a few to stand up for it, and then more people will be more willing to as well, or to be behind something. And, I don't know. I call me a RoboCop fan, man. I'm
glad to hear it.
Yeah,
I was shocked to beyond belief. I really enjoyed it. So
I think you might have redeemed yourself a little bit.
Yeah,
but I'm interested to the sequel.
Yeah. I want to hear your thoughts on the sequel, because
behave yourselves.
The sequel to RoboCop 2 is very much like the sequel to Batman, with Batman Returns. A lot of people didn't like.
That's a
Batman
good comparison,
Returns.
Actually. I like that.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like Batman Returns. A lot of people didn't like RoboCop 2 at first. It wasn't like they didn't like it. I don't think they got it, and it went a lot darker in the sequels than they anticipated. But I always liked them. So
that was also a comparison I wanted. RoboCop kind of felt like a daytime Batman in a way, like one that they choose to publicize instead of be in the shadows. Like, he's like one that you bring into the light, sort of, and let's have it with kids, and
well, it's actually got heavy inspiration from Judge Dredd, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's where
I haven't seen Judge Dredd either. Any of those Judge? I know there's
the
two
writer,
versions, right? Of Judge Dredd.
Yeah, there's the Dredd, and then there was the one with Sylvester Stallone from the 90s. But Ed Neumeyer, the guy who wrote it, he got inspiration from. He was working at Warner Brothers, and he was a script reader and stuff like that. And he got shoved a bunch of comic books one day to read, and he was noticing all the similarities between all these comic books. So between that and the heavy influence of Judge Dredd, He came up with the concept of RoboCop after visiting the set of Blade Runner, because he was at Warner Brothers at the time they were shooting Blade Runner, and he saw like the cop car and all the futuristic stuff, and he's like, "Oh man, that's amazing!" And he was speaking to one of the people on the set, and they're like, "What's this all about?" And he's like, "Well, it's about a robot, a guy who tracks down robots." It's like, "No way!" And they're like, "Yeah." He goes, "One of the robots is right over there," and he's like looking around for a robot. And then he finally realized the guy was pointing at Sean Young. He's like, "That's not a fucking robot."
She's in Blade Runner.
How do you know? How do you know, huh?
Well, he's like, that's the thing. He goes, in all these movies all the time, even Terminator up to that point, he's like, you still got, a person running around pretending to be a robot. He's like, I just wanted to see an actual fucking robot.
Give him the metal and everything on the outside.
Yeah. So you got two of them between Ed 209, which is obviously named after him, Ed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ed Newmeyer. And then RoboCop, of course, which is kind of the cyborg, but he's gold or silver plated and all this get up and stuff like that. But yeah, we were talking about the casting. There was tons of people who they wanted. They looked at Keith Carradine. They looked at they really, really wanted Michael Ironside. That was who they wanted to play him.
Yeah.
But the Rob Bottin, the special effects guy, said, "Look, the problem with guys like that is they're too built, and you're going to want me to build this stuff around them." It basically would have been like the equivalent of what they did to Schwarzenegger and Batman and Robin, and somebody should have said something to him then, right? Because you got a problem here. You put a big guy with all this bulky shit on it, they're going to look like a fucking Hulk.
Yeah, they're going to look way bigger.
Yeah, so they're like, you need a thin, slender guy, and not only that, cast the chin, is what they kept telling him. Cast the chin. So they said every time they were looking at somebody, they would really pay attention to their chin line. And Peter Weller come in, and not only did he have the chin line, and he was thin railed, but he also just had this way about him, and you can tell just when he's interviewed that he's very out there, man.
Yeah,
he's
Buckaroo Banzai.
He is a freakazoid, and I'll tell you, there's some great fucking stories about him in that RoboDoc, and one of the ones that's making the rounds right now is the Oreo story.
Yeah.
The Oreo story is great, even though Peter Weller says it never happened. I don't believe it. Because this guy, he was totally into this shit. He would not answer to any name but Robo. Like, and that's why like Kurtwood Smith and stuff like that wouldn't talk to him, because he's like, "Fuck that, I ain't doing that."
I ain't calling that guy Robo.
Like, I'll call him Peter, but I ain't calling him fucking Robo. Fucking whatever. Like, this is ridiculous. But like, no. And so one of the PA guys was there one day, and he had a roll of Oreos that were for Peter. But Peter was refusing to do the scene until he got Oreo. And he goes, "No Oreos." He goes, so he got pissed off, and he goes over, because this is at the scene where he's shooting at all the bad guys from above in the steel part, in the steel works, and he goes, "Robo wants an Oreo."
Oh boy.
And the PA comes over to the edge, and he goes, "Robo, don't get an Oreo," and shoved them all in his fucking mouth.
That's great.
And then I tell you the fuck me story last week. I think I did.
I don't remember.
I think okay. Well, that one is like every day on the set, because Paul Verhoeven, being foreign, his English wasn't quite good yet, and he had a hard time expressing himself. So every time somebody would get something wrong or do something wrong, or effect would go wrong, something would go wrong, be like, "You're fucking me. You're fucking me. The studio's fucking me. You're fucking me. You're fucking me. Every day you're fucking me. You're fucking me. This whole thing is just, you're fucking me. You're fucking my movie. You're fucking me." So like one day, the special effects guy got so pissed off. He was having a rough morning. So he goes up to Paul, who had already been yelling at people and stuff, because this is what he did all day long. He was supposedly a tyrant to deal with. And he goes up to him and he goes, "Paul, I just wanted to let you know, today I'm going to fuck you. I'm gonna fuck you hard." He goes, "When I'm done fucking you, I'm gonna fuck you again later." And Paul just stood there for a moment, and he goes, At least this man has the decency to tell me he's going to fuck me. And he walks away.
And now I get the South Park references where he says this. Okay, there we go. Now that
I mean, Paul Verhoeven is a fucking nut.
Yeah,
he is
great.
a fucking nut. So you got Paul Verhoeven. Oh, they also wanted Rutger Hauer was another possibility to play RoboCop, but Verhoeven nixed that right away because they already had clashed on his last movie they worked together on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and then Clarence Bardaker was another weird one because Kurtwood Smith actually went in for Dick Jones. Because that's the kind of role Kurtwood Smith normally played, was like a crooked executive or cop, or, you know, he never really played the bad guy too often, but Dick Jones, he kind of played heavies, not usually the main bad guy. But he thought he was going in for Dick Jones. Well, it turns out Ronnie Cox, who I don't know if they were trying to get him for the old man, but he said, no, I want to play Dick Jones. And he goes, because they didn't really want him for Dick Jones, because that was totally against what Ronnie Cox had done to that point. Because everybody knew him as the goody two shoes guy from, like, you know, Deliverance and being like the chief in Beverly Hills Cop, shit like that.
Yeah.
Right. They always saw him as the good guy next door.
President
kind of guy.
Captain America.
The G golly shucks. Yeah. You know, that kind of shit. Like, they always seen him as that thing. So he was really wanting to play this role because he's like, I could really sink my teeth into something like that. Not only that, show people I can do more than just being the good guy. So they took a chance on him. And so in that, then what they did is they made Kurtwood, they made him Clarence. And that's where, so he's like, all right. So he learned who Clarence was, and Ed based him on a real guy. This is where I always thought it was an odd pick, like the way Clarence is portrayed. But I guess he's actually based on a real guy. And that's where the glasses come from. That's where the nerdy look comes from, you know, the half balding and just, you know, just the sadistic, brilliant guy who probably could have been an amazing scientist, or just like Dick Jones, you know, worked somewhere like that. But because he's a criminal, he just never, and you can see that in the character, right? Like, he wants to be a part of that club, but he starts to realize as he goes through the movie, that's never going to happen. Like, especially with that scene with Dick Jones when they, you know, when they're talking to each other and he's like, look at my face, Dick, you know, all that kind of shit. Like, you can kind of tell, like, that's what he wants, but he's never going to get it. So, like, he really sunk his teeth into that one. Well, then the guy who was meant to play Kurtwood's part, the Clarence, actually is his right-hand man, the guy who says, don't touch me, man, when the other guy is the good-looking dude. Yeah. So he was originally supposed to play Clarence. So then he got pushed down to the next character down the line. But then the rest of them, they said, Paul said, I don't care. I just want them all to be diverse. He goes, I want, you know, a diverse group of guys. So you got like the Indian looking kind of Asian dude or whatever he is. I can't remember what his background is. I apologize. You got the black guy, obviously. And then, of course, you got the ginger, you know, and stuff like that. And then you got Clarence and his right-hand man. So nice little group of guys there. And they're kind of like the head of all the bad guys. And, you know, that run Detroit, and they all run under the protection of Dick Jones. So that's how this shit works. Like, the corruption runs that deep all the way to the top.
Yep. Is that deep. Yep. But I just don't think Michael Ironside would have worked. I
think
mean,
he's too
he's got too much of a presence to him. Maybe
he plays better villains too. He's never really great as a good guy. He's okay, but I like him better as a villain.
I mean, like, I think maybe he take himself too seriously. Like you talked about how Peter Weller's a little more out there. So maybe took a little more out there of a guy to play RoboCop as the way he was played. I think maybe Michael Ironside would have just played it too serious. Just too serious.
No, Weller really got into the whole, like, well, I'm this guy trapped inside and I'm Robo, you know, he like really got into the head of the whole thing, you know, and what it is. I think Michael Ironside would have just come in and did the job.
Yeah, he was just like, got on suit, got it in there, did it, like Stokes, serious type, you know, not like overthink it or anything. And just
was the actor who did worked. Was the actor in this one in much things at that time, or kind of a fresher actor?
Who, Peter Weller?
Oh, Peter Weller. He had done Buckaroo Banzai and a couple other things.
Yeah.
And he quit acting. I mean, he does it from time to time, but now he's a teacher.
He's a TV director too.
Yeah, he does all kinds of other shit now.
Yeah.
He's not young either.
Yeah, he's not young. I know he directed a lot of that TV show Longmire. He did a lot of that, and he was actually on that show too. So But yes, as we move on to me now, I guess any final words you want to say?
Yeah,
before
Rook,
yeah.
Yeah, man, I loved it. Call me a RoboCop fan. I will check out RoboCop 2. I don't know if you guys know what I think about that. Don't know when I'll do that though. But yeah, a happy discovery with this one.
Nice.
Chalk it up. That's it's one of my favorite 80 films now, man.
Kids love this one.
Yeah.
Yes. I'd
They
buy that
do.
for $1. Like
I'd buy that for $1.
I was fucking 7 when I saw that movie. I couldn't believe my parents let me watch
Dude,
RoboCop.
I was like that old too. I was like 8 maybe.
I wish more films had like fun commercials in there. I'd buy that for $1. Like, why is that in here? But it's
You should
kind
see
of
the
funny.
deleted
It's
commercial, Rook.
a random funny thing. Yeah,
That's actually those little bits with the, I buy that for $1 is actually a sitcom.
That's a
And
real
so-
sitcom, or not?
It's not a real
invented
one, but it's one in their universe. And there's
Right,
actually a
right.
deleted scene where he goes to a pizza restaurant where the chefs are all a bunch of topless ladies. He's like, I buy that for $1.
It's funny. See, I like that creativity. The only other
It's
time
on
that
it's on YouTube. You can find it.
the only other time I've seen something like that where it's just like it's a thing in a movie that isn't real, but it's in that universe, like in Home Alone, get on your knees and tell me you love me, like that movie or whatever that he plays in the movie. It's like that's invented for Home Alone, right?
Snake. I don't know any snakes.
Yeah, snakes.
I like that element, that detail that they add to it. Like in that world, this is a movie, but it's like,
Yeah.
why do they go that far? But I like it that they do that. I don't know.
There's really not much for deleted
thing.
scenes though. That little bit is one of the only deleted scenes. The only other deleted scene is the ending. There's more to the ending that they cut off.
I like how this one ended out.
Yeah, well, that's because that's the way it's scored. They're like, well, fuck that.
Yeah,
What
I
they
feel like
could have done.
If it went longer, the pace might not have been.
They could have threw it in the credits because all it is it's the final news break. Because if you notice, all the news breaks come in at the act breaks.
Oh right.
And so there was one more news break that was supposed to come in at the end. And that's probably where the other bit from I buy that for $1 was supposed to come in or something like that too. But the funny thing is when you talk about assembly cuts of movies, they usually they're like 3-4 hours long, and then they cut them down to what we end up seeing. RoboCop, the original assembly cut, was under 2 hours. And that was because Ed Neumeyer was on the set through the making of the film, and he was editing the film as they were going along. So they wouldn't film scenes they didn't need. So like the only stuff that got excised was like the little ancillary thing, like I just said, and just little bits and pieces on the end of scenes and stuff here and there. And the final bit that got cut out, and that was Anne Lewis in the hospital, so you could make sure that everybody saw that she lived and she didn't become a RoboCop herself. Because that was the other thing that everybody was afraid of, was that they were like, we got to show the ending because otherwise everybody's going to think she's going to become a RoboCop too because of that line.
Yeah. Don't worry,
I like
you.
I'd rather I like
everything.
it not show. I like it not showing that exactly.
They could have shown it during the credits, like after like the first bit. They could have just had it come into the side or whatever. It would have been nice just to have it there.
I guess so, but I feel like this is one of the ones that knows when to end itself, where it's like, you know what, this is a good enough ending. If there's more movies,
oh no, that's the Rocky ending. That's definitely the Rocky ending. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, Rocky didn't end that way either. Sly's just like, wait, freeze it right there. That's the ending. Because after that, it doesn't end. In the original ending, it keeps going, and then him and Adrian walk out alone. That's the ending.
Right.
They're talking about her hat.
I know that we feel a little different on some endings, like with the Return of the King or something. I was okay with the majority of their last bits of endings, but there's maybe one or two that I probably would have shortened down at least or something. But it ended when a film chooses to end, I feel is always a tough choice in a way, because it's like, where do you want it to be? That's done. We're done. This movie.
Not a lot of movies get those moments either. So I agree with you. That's the spot to end the film proper. Exactly,
Yeah.
Murphy.
But I do. That's what I like, is because the end with you wanting to know more about what happens, but there isn't an answer. I kind of prefer that in a way. It's like, because it keeps you thinking about it in a way.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so that's my last thoughts on there.
All right,
So,
good, cool.
Go ahead.
I'm glad you liked that, because I think you might have redeemed yourself a little bit there, Rook.
Yeah, you'd have had some shit thrown at you otherwise.
Yeah.
Buckaroo Banzai, however, I saw that one.
Hey, I love Buckaroo Banzai. But
I have to revisit that one.
Yeah, me too. I have the Steelbook. I just haven't watched it in a while. I just bought the Steelbook because it was cheaper. It's not a good looking
I got
one.
the regular one, I think. I don't think I got the Steelbook. It's the Shout Factory one, but yeah.
Yeah, I got the
And that's
Shout.
going to end up getting a 4K release before I end up opening mine anyway.
Yeah, watch it. You know it will. But keeping it sort of masculine and sort of comedic as well. I have I don't know if Brooke probably has never seen this. I'm sure you have, Tom, but I have The Cowboy Way.
Yeehaw!
With Kiefer Sutherland and
I thought
Woody
this was going to be our
Harrelson.
second. We were going to do our other pick,
This
but
is
okay.
this is my first pick.
Oh, that's right. You're on our first pick. That's right.
Yep.
I forgot you didn't start tonight.
Yeah. So I have The Cowboy.
I think that was one I had. Do I have that one?
It's from Mill Creek.
I was going to say I think I do.
It's not the best game in the world.
I've seen it. It's a decent. It's one of those movies I discovered on television, if I remember
right.
Like
yeah.
on NBC or something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, but I like this. I've always liked this movie. I think it's a pretty good, fun, solid '90s like action comedy type movie. So basically, what it is Woody Harrelson and Kiefer Sutherland are these New Mexico cowboy bull riders, and they do rodeos. And they have this friend named Nacho, who's a Cuban, and his daughter has been smuggled into the U.S. up in New York City, and the crime people that smuggled her in. One of the guys calls him up and tells him that, we have your daughter. We need an extra $5,000 from you. And so he goes to New York to try to get his daughter. The Nacho guys does, and he doesn't come back for 5 days. So Kiefer Sutherland and Woody Harrelson, who grew up as childhood best friends, are sort of on the outs right now. But they go to New York searching for their friend and his daughter. And while they're there, they get into this, with these guys, these smugglers, and what they're doing. And, they have to go the cowboy way, teach these New York City folks what it's like to be a cowboy and kick some ass. So it's a pretty fun movie. I mean, Kiefer Sutherland is great. Woody Harrelson's great. It's got a great cast. Ernie Hudson's in it from Ghostbusters. Speaking of which, Ernie Hudson's is in it. Marge Helgenberger's in it. One of my favorite lines, though, is like when they're chasing the bad guy and they go into the subway and the train takes off and he's in there, and they're like, they look at Ernie Hudson's character and they go, "Hey, is there any way to cut that train off?" And he looks at them and goes, "It's a fucking train." That's my favorite line in the movie. Like, are you serious? It's a fucking train.
Where did this movie come out?
Where's this movie made? It was made in like 94, I want to say, maybe. I'm trying to find the date here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to dip into westerns at some point too.
It's not a western. It's set in the 90s. It's made in the 90s.
Oh.
Yeah, it's modern times. They're just like old school cowboys
who
go to New York City to try to help their friend Nacho and his daughter. And like they're in the New York City. It's like the fish out of water tale.
I still kind of like that premise, regardless. That sounds like
yeah. Sort of. It wasn't a very successful movie. It was kind of overshadowed. And Woody Harrelson did, he Oliver Stone with the, that Tom brought on not too long ago. I just forgot the name of the damn movie.
Natural Born Killers.
Yeah, Natural Born Killers came out around the same time as well. So that kind of movie took off for him. But I mean, it's a great movie. Woody Harrelson is great as the cocky guy who's always running his mouth, and he like starts the fights, but Kiefer Sutherland is the quiet, cool, reserved guy who has to finish the fights. He's the one that knows how to kick ass, So it's got this great buddy comedy type to it, and they get to ride horses around New York City and beat up mob guys. It's a fun movie, and plus it's funny. It's a 90s movie. But yeah, I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but it looks like some has.
It's been years. I guess I don't own it. I threw it in my cart for eventually I'll get it.
Yeah.
Since it's Mill Creek, it's not like it's going to go out of print.
Yeah, it's cheap, and it's not the best scan in the world. It gets a little dark in spots, so I don't, and much like you talked about earlier, there is no special features whatsoever. You just pop it in and it sort of starts. But there is a menu. There's a play menu. So play or setup. Yeah. But no, this is a really great movie. If you've I think, Rook, you may dig this. You may dig this movie.
It sounds like one I might like. I like the premise of old time, like old cowboys or something. They're in there. They're in the modern day ish, and they're it's they don't really belong. Yeah, fish out of water, like you said.
It's
they
a
don't
fish
really
out of water,
belong.
though, yeah.
And they got to interact with whatever's around. I kind of like those setups, depending on how well they do them. It could be pretty good. So yeah, I might check that one out. It sounds like that could be fun.
I mean, it's no RoboCop, it's no American Graffiti, but it's a fun movie to watch.
All right, no, I'm trying. I said Western because you said cowboy. I guess I'm trying to venture into some of those films as well because they're always referenced as an era essentially of filmmaking. So even if it's not a Western, I'd say they're cowboys. So
yeah, it's great. I mean,
they're ones that lived through the Western that are now in the modern day. So and the ideal anyway, right?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, even though they're younger guys, but they're like, they got that old soul about them in the movie. They really capture that.
Even No Country for Old Men has that vibe with the older cop anyway, I think. Yeah. Like the older one with the new sort of. Yeah. That's not trying to be a comedy in that one. So
no. This is an action comedy from the 90s. So it's very different. Dylan McDermott plays bad guy, and I don't want to tell you, but man, he dies in a horrible way in that movie. It would be one of the worst ways to die. But I would get this: is that any of you recognize the fact that in recent years that they don't have actors anymore? No, they don't. I miss the days that someone could deliver a line in such a way that it would stand out in my brain. That's true. It's just like nobody's. The thing is, this is weird because they don't cast actors anymore. They cast like, it's not, I don't want to, I guess you want to say activists. I really hate saying that, but that's sort of sometimes what it feels like. And plus, like we've talked about, social media really killed the movie star.
I mean, to me, it feels,
go ahead.
It feels similar. I guess, I don't know how I describe it, but maybe like a lot of people that are, filming stuff, they're not really putting in the passion. I don't know if they're really, it doesn't come off like they're trying to reach into somewhere to, do a performance that's going to stand out. I mean, I think some probably do, but those ones are like the really try hard ones that like seem out of place almost. I think I'm trying to think of something like, I don't even know. Say, I don't know if I agree with the statement exactly that he says here. There's like no actors, because I saw Prisoners recently ish as well. And that is Hugh Jackman. I mean, I don't know. The acting in that one was really good too, but I guess I might be confused on the question on what exactly he means by.
I would say like Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal, those are actors.
Like who's not an
actor? Isn't Jake Gyllenhaal in that movie? Isn't he in Prisoners?
Yes, Jake Gyllenhaal. Yeah, he's in that too.
Like, those are actors. Those are people that got into acting, to be famous, whatever. But they act. They know the craft. Where somebody like Rachel Zegler. She's not an actress. She was cast. She was actually found from YouTube. She's like
that's more like an influencer.
She's like an influencer. She was cast like that. That's not somebody in the acting business to be an actor. That was just somebody that cast.
Okay, that's people that want to have like a lot of likes and attention on them rather than like actually.
Don't get me wrong. Most
doing
actors are narcissistic. It's just.
Well, yeah, but like the other ones, if they are actually trying, I assume that it starts at least whether or not that's their goal, they work to be at it. As to where with this, it's like probably took pictures on Instagram or something, or like what was the acting career that led up to the thing? I assume that's what we're kind of getting at. Like, where did they develop talent to be cast in something rather than like would they do how many takes would these actors do compared to the actors, right? Is that kind of sort of what we're getting into, like the passion of it?
Yeah,
I guess that's what I'm trying to understand the question of it, because there's a lot of actors, but are they dedicated? Do they want to show passion with it? Because me and Robert Downey Jr. has some moments, I would say, but I don't know if I describe him as that all the time in the movie and what I've seen him in. I don't know. He's great in Tropic Thunder.
Jr. I
good as Iron Man,
but he's. What he was he was a character actor basically, in the 80s and 90s, and he sort of became the lead actors once he got Iron Man. But he's always been better as a character actor, sort of like Tropic Thunder. You watch him in that,
the
character actor in that. He's not holding the movie down, so he can let go a little bit and act and do stuff. So
Right. And then like I look at Adam Sandler or something like
Adam Sandler's
mean,
a comedian. He's not really in it for the acting.
like-
He's in it because he's just having fun.
yeah, I mean, like I don't know if I'd call him an actor, and I think
the
like
question meant to be movie star, not actor.
Yeah, like movie star.
okay, like because I assume that would reference more like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Stallone and stuff, right? I
Well,
guess
then you
I'm
can
born,
also
I'm
got,
born
like,
from the mid
Harrison
90s.
Ford, and you
I'm from
got,
the
like-
mid 90s, so I'm kind of like I guess I was in the era where that was starting to not become as prevalent anyway. So I guess I'm not sure how this applies. And I know Tom had more to add to it either for this.
But anyways, yeah, there's just like the actors is not what they're. But anyways, The Cowboy Way is a good movie. I think you guys should check it out. It's an underrated movie in my opinion. I think more people should see it because it's just one of those good, fun action, like manly man type movies that we don't see anymore. And I know I don't like mean to keep saying that, but we don't see movies like that anymore. Okay, but that's my first pick. So, how do you want to do this? Because you only have one more, and me and Tom's got two more, and we got one that we're going to do.
People
together.
probably want to hear my take on Ghostbusters, so I'll do that in a sec. But I'll say too. I guess I was confused with the question maybe because I've been looking back at like RoboCop. I'm looking at older stuff now, so I'm just kind of that's where my mindset is too. Where I'm like, well, what do you mean? There's lots of great acting.
It's
I don't know.
I think it meant more like movie star, where somebody
where people go to
in
see a movie because that actor is in it.
Because the actor, and they go in and they say a line, and that line is memorable, and it holds on to you, and you feel something. You don't. Oh, we lost Tom.
Yeah, I think it's,
we don't really feel
connection,
that. We don't really feel that from actors today. Yeah, they may be actors, but they're not movie stars. They're not delivering a line that just sticks with you.
Right. Yeah, so I guess with Tom being gone for the moment, I'll just go. Oh, there he is.
But so you want to go after this pick, Rook, after mine and Tom's pick?
Yeah,
So,
I figure. And
it's up to you guys, unless you want Rookie to go first.
That's what I was going to have him go first, but he wants to wait. I think.
No, I was saying I could go now because people want to hear. People probably want to hear my Ghostbusters take.
All right, if you want to go now, go ahead.
Okay.
Good.
And they'll be out of the way. So
now you see all that goodwill you garnered with RoboCop. I'm afraid you're going to lose it.
Potentially, we'll see. So Ghostbusters, funny thing. First time I saw it. This wasn't the first time I saw it here this week. When I was, I want to say 10 years ago. It's probably more than 10 years ago. Some things are a little fuzzy with when I saw it, but we had to do. Yeah, it was like my freshman year in high school. I think I probably saw it. And I didn't really like it when I first saw it. It just didn't really stick with me. We had to do a film thing where the scene where they go to the library and get the goo and stuff, and we had to like insert sound effects for that scene. So that was like where I was first like really watched the whole movie, and it wasn't really for me at the time. And looking back on it, I didn't like it, but rewatched it this week, and it's a lot better than I remember, but I don't know if I didn't feel like how I did with RoboCop, where I was like getting into it. There's stuff in this that I like and that I think are funnier. I thought it was hilarious how Bill Murray is like, or when Sigourney Weaver's like possessed by Zool and totally trying to get at him while he's been trying to get at her this whole time, and he's like totally like, no, I don't want to do that exactly. No, thank you. So some of the humor landed for me, and some of it is funny, but I don't know. I was just like, yep, that was funny. Yep. And that was kind of how I felt about some of it, where it does things well. It's a well-made film. It's done well. How much I liked it, though, is kind of low, though. I don't know. It's fine. It doesn't do... I don't have much critiques about it. It's just not... I didn't find it that enjoyable, though, as I'm watching. But there's a lot more things that I liked this time around. I'm just not. It just wasn't one that I'm like, you know what? I definitely want to see more of this or see it again. It was fine, is where I'd put it at. It's not bad. I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's just it wasn't that funny to me, but I did get a lot of the humor. I liked a lot of the humor in it, and especially seeing it now. Like there's a lot more things that I caught that I didn't catch my first time watching it that I appreciate for it. trying to think of specific things to draw up with it. I do kind of like how they're like, wanting to choose your doom, and they're like, we're not choosing anything. Don't think about anything. And he chooses the Marshmallow Man. It's like, okay, how could that be?
Somebody ask you if you're a god, you say yes.
No. Yeah, you say yes. Things like that were funny to me, but it's just like I got that it's funny, but I'm not like, oh, dude, that's a great line. It's kind of like, yep, it was well done. It was made well. I liked it, but I didn't love it. I guess I don't know what they could do to make it where I do love it. But it's again like you guys can chime in where you want or ask me something about it because I don't know.
I don't know where to go at this because you build up all the goodwill with RoboCop after what you did with Gremlins, and you come in. I mean, at least you're not over here saying that you hated this like you did with Gremlins. It's just
I liked at the beginning with the electroshock thing. He's like trying to more impress the girl than do the actual test, and just keeps on zapping the guy and giving her points because he's trying to get laid, essentially. Things like that. The movie's got a lot of humor in it that I like, but I don't know. In terms of what I look for, what I like, I don't know. It's just not hitting my flavors for me. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know where to go at with this, Rook. I think it's one of the best movies ever made. It's an all-time classic. I would rank this up there with, Back to the Future, Star Wars, Indiana Jones. This is RoboCop. These are the movies that we grew up with, whether we were alive when they came out in the 80s or not, because we were right at that generation where, some of these had already come out, been out for a while. And then in the 90s, growing into, as a kid, we were still watching those movies on TV. So that's part of our childhood and they mean a lot to us. And I don't,
this is
midichlorians.
One just didn't click as much with me. Yep, they bound us together. Tom, I assume you want to rip into me a bit on this one?
I mean, I guess everybody's allowed to have one or two bad takes once in a while. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
This is one where, so unlike Gremlins, I'm saying that the film is good, but I didn't enjoy it that much. But there's things in it that I did enjoy and liked. I liked a lot more of the dialogue and jokes. I like even the as I'm thinking about it, I didn't like or care about the green ghost guy, wanting to eat a bunch of food, but I more liked the owner of the hotel or whatever, his reaction to what's going on. He wanted it to be done quietly and nicely and everything be nice and quick and good, and then everything's just destroyed with the whole thing. And it's just like, God, Jesus,
we can put it back.
I'm not charging $5,000. $5,000. I wouldn't have even done that if you tried. Yeah, we could put it back. Oh, never mind. There's things that are funny. Yeah, I get it. I like it, but it's not hitting me the same way other things do. I guess I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. So that's just where I'm at with it. It's not. I don't hate the film. So there's that.
Slime.
Name, yeah, the chat. Yeah, the green fat guy. That's what I'm.
Like I said, you lost some of the what you just built up.
Yeah, I figured that would happen. I figured. Yeah,
I feel a hate crime coming on.
But it's funny because it's like I ripped way more into Gremlins. This I've pretty much just praised and said I didn't really like it that much. So, I don't know. I don't have any critiques for it either. I can't think of what I'd say they did poorly. So it's
he'll probably say the remake of Ghostbusters is a masterpiece.
Bro, 4K cinema, bro. No, I've only seen reviews and clips of the 2016 one. That's something I could say is fucking trash. I'm not even crapping on Ghostbusters here. I'm not even crapping on it. I'm just saying that I didn't enjoy it that much.
What's up, London?
That's it.
Thanks, man. Keep on rocking. I get you. You said, everybody's allowed to have their own takes. It's your opinion.
That's all good. The chat, it is your time to roast me. That's okay. I can take it. Yes, I am a I am an evil boy here with that. I built you all up with RoboCop to just smack you down with a mid Ghostbusters take there. Like I said, I'm trying to think of anything I'd even criticize with it. I don't have any actual criticisms for it. Like there's nothing that came to mind where I'm like, this was done poorly. This could have been written better. No, even like when he's going into the room with the whatever prod thing or something to see ghost energy and stuff, and it's like it opens the fridge and there's nothing there. She's like, I'm not, like I liked the scene, like that was fine. And when he's got his weird way of trying to interact with her, and she's kind of a loner chick who, it's like, okay, this guy is, being all right with her. Rick Moranis, like he gets possessed by the demon that needs to have sex with her to open the key and stuff, whatever. Yeah.
He's a key master and he gets locked out twice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he gets but when he's possessed, that's when he can have sex with her, like that, and with the demon virgin, which that stuff's kind of funny. There's jokes for different folks.
I mean, at least I will give you that. Yeah, it's at least you're not bashing the movie. You think it's a good movie. It's just a movie that's not for you. I'll give you that. You that. I mean, there's not much we can say. I mean, it's something we all grew up with, we liked, and we're hearing your take.
Well,
and
to bring the mood up a bit, there's something this I don't think you'd get copyright struck for this. Epic Rap Battles never copyright strikes anything. They do a Ghostbusters one, I think is pretty funky. You guys, I don't know. You want to see it or no?
I mean, you play it, but I don't really watch these guys, so.
No, I don't know. I don't know if you guys. I was going to bring up the mood with it, but I don't know if you guys would.
I'm not much into rap.
I don't know. No. I mean, I'm not into rap either, but they do some good music and references, things that you guys would like and stuff. But that's all right.
It's okay.
It's all right.
You can play it if you want it.
Let me see. The boss or the bass may have been busted. You're watching it. Okay, I'm checking out. I'm checking out the roasts for me, seeing what we got here with that as well.
I think you missed most of the roast. It's up higher.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see.
People are really mad at you.
Name is Slimer.
Yeah, you.
The green ghost guy. I feel like a hate crime coming
Slimer,
on.
Man.
I caught this at the cinema when I was a kid. Yep, I wasn't there. Nope. The midi-chlorians surrounded and bound us together. I can't flip my goddamn desk card enough. Rook, everything you're doing is bad. So liking RoboCop was bad too? No? That was good. No? Some movies just aren't the same without surrounding and embedding mythos of the time. I mean, I guess so. Maybe. Rook, they tried to put a chick in it and make it. That didn't work.
You talk about the remake.
Well, yeah, they put 4 chicks in there, and that definitely didn't work. I hate Melissa McCarthy. Fucking not one of the least funny people I've ever fucking seen. Honestly, he was fresh off SNL with Dan Aykroyd. Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of the, the popularity of the actors, but that means nothing to me. That doesn't play into my factor. Even if it was actors that I love personally, that I don't know if that would really change anything for me. I don't know if that would affect anything. Get off my lawn, runner. Yeah, Crummel's definitely not taking it well.
You made Sean mad.
You goddamn kids. Yep. Oh, yeah. Venkman sold my reaction best mass hysteria. Yes, it's true. This man has no dick. Yeah, there's lines in it. Yeah, they're all right. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, she's a dog.
Classic of a movie.
Yep, that's all right. It's all right. Yep, nope, not one for me though. Nope. Rook, you are a low budget movie type guy. The one. Wait, what? Low budget movie
low
guy.
Budget.
Oh, look, sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm reading that wrong there. The one who gets the most obscure movies. Yeah, sometimes I guess. So I don't know. I'm just saying, this one, yes, wasn't my thing there. Nope. I guess there's not much else to say there.
I mean,
the bad take makes me feel so old that I question if kids coming up have always been corrupt or if it's a new thing. I mean, Would you honestly say that my takes are that bad? There's only 2 so far that y'all have hated.
I can't say that your Ghostbusters take is bad because you said it was a good movie and there's stuff about it you liked. It just wasn't for you.
Yeah, it's like it's just.
I would say that most people probably agreed your Gremlins take was bad, but once again, that's you. That's how you feel. We have a lot of our opinions.
That's fine.
But I would say that your Gremlins take was probably worse than your Ghostbusters take.
I stand by my Gremlins take though, but and I stand with my Ghostbusters take of it. It being good, but me not enjoying it that much. But yeah, there's again things in it that I do enjoy with it. So yeah, I guess there's not much more to say on that. I'd say pass it on to your guys' ones next before we
keeping it in the vein with Dan Aykroyd and stuff. So we'll go to that. So Tom, if you're ready, we'll show what we got together. I know you're doing things and stuff, so I'll go ahead and show mine. And then
this movie was one of the reasons Ghostbusters got the money it did, actually.
Yeah,
because the one we're about to talk about did very well at the box office.
Very well.
It has one Dan Aykroyd in it.
Yes, and I'll show mine here first.
It was part of the reason that Eddie Murphy was almost in Ghostbusters.
Yes. Here is the new 4K of Trading Places. Here's my Blu-ray I have of Trading Places. This is the 35th and this is the 40th. So
I have the other one now. I have the
you have
I have the one from
Paramount Presents.
Which this has the 4K scan. That other one you have has the older scan, and I of course have the same 4K Blu-ray you have as well.
Yeah. What am I doing? I gotta go down. There we go. I don't know what I was doing. Okay, but yeah, this is a good movie. I think the 4K transfer is pretty good. I mean, like Tom said, this is the same 4K scan on the Paramount Presents. It's a bit of an older scan, but it was overseen by John Landis. I didn't really have no complaints about it, but Tom did notice a few DNR moments in it that I probably missed out as well. But Tom, you want to
just some artifacting and stuff that's indicative of an older scan. I mean, you can tell this is probably a good 5 years or so old. I mean, I've had it in digital for a while in 4K.
Yeah.
But no, it looks really good. Decent bit rate, nice grain structure, some haloing and some other stuff here and there, some compression, but not too bad. I think it's just more of a problem of it being just a little bit older scan than it is any manipulation or anything like that, really. Or like I think I said before the show, maybe it was just stuff that was left on the print for the Blu-ray release that they didn't take off, which is unfortunate, but it's not a deal breaker. For the $20 price tag, you could do a hell of a lot worse.
I mean, like I said, if you want to upgrade, I would recommend upgrading it. It's worth the upgrade. So, it's pretty good 4K. Plus, you get the Blu-ray. If you don't have the Blu-ray that with the 4K scan in it already, it comes with it. And I was looking through the special features from the one I have and this one. The only thing that this one is missing is on the Blu-ray that I have, it has trivia pop-ups. Does that Paramount Presents have the trivia pop-ups? But I know this one.
So now that you mention it, now I wish I would have kept my other Blu-ray.
That's the only special features I see that is missing on these two here. So I'll show you real quick. If you guys can see it, it's over here. It says trivia pop-ups, but it's not on this one. So, but it's all the same special features other than that. I don't know if you guys can make that out or not, but yeah, there you guys. That's the only special feature that is missing. But for $19.99, $20, this is a great 4K. It looks good. It's an all-time classic film. It's the Prince and the Pauper, basically, is the story. It's not Dan Aykroyd plays like a Dan Aykroyd plays Winthorpe, a rich yuppie stockbroker type guy, and then Eddie Murphy's a criminal who lives in the poor side of town. And the Duke brothers, Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici, decide to place a bet that they can switch them around, and Winthorpe will turn to crime if he loses everything, and Eddie Murphy's character will succeed and be just as good as Dan Aykroyd's character if given the right situation, the right slot in life. And then that's how the movie begins. And then we get Jamie Lee Curtis as a prostitute. And I know somebody asked, where was it? How did Jamie Lee, her tits look good in 4K? Because here's the Scream reference runner. She never showed her tits till she went legit in Trading Places in 1983. Like Randy says in Scream. Because I want to see Jamie Lee's breast. When do we see Jamie Lee's breast? That's when you see them. So yes, and yes, this movie was actually meant for Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. And like if you watch the special features, they said it does show that it was meant for them. But in the end, I think Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy were the right choices for this movie. Yeah, this is only, like you said, Eddie Murphy's second movie right after 48 Hours, and he just kind of blew up more from there. And it's a great movie. It's a fun movie, and you can watch it at any time from November to January. You can watch it because it starts off in November, goes through Christmas, and goes to New Year. Because you know how some people argue, like, well, is it a Christmas movie? You can say this is a Christmas movie, but that's your interpretation because it does have that vibe to it. No, we're not talking Scream again. I was just making that reference because that's what they say. She never showed her tits till she went legit. But Tom, you got any other thoughts about this movie? You want to say anything, or are you?
Well, I just got a cease and desist letter from Paramount. Other than that, fuck Paramount. That's who made this movie.
Oh man,
it's a totally different fucking situation. But no, I love this movie. It's a great film. I watched it just before the show tonight. I was just kind of watching it at first, just for reference, just to kind of check it out because I've seen it every year. I've had the 4K digital version for a while now, and I just ended up watching the whole thing because it's just a great film altogether. And yeah, I mean, it's a decent scan. Have you seen it, Rook?
Nope.
Oh, it's definitely one you got to put on that list then.
Yeah, you should put this one on your list. I think hopefully you would like this one, but this is a great,
damn near perfect movie.
Yeah, this is a pretty damn good movie.
I can give it a shot. No problem. Was it Trading Places?
Yes, Trading Places. Ain't no sense of being a jive turkey this close to Halloween or Thanksgiving. Why did I say Halloween?
Halloween. That don't match.
When he's in prison, Eddie Murphy's in jail, and there's like, ain't no sense being a jive turkey this close to Thanksgiving. And they go kick his ass.
He was in Vietnam, huh? Yeah, man. I was in like Viet Cong. I was in like Sing Song, Bing Bang, all that, man. I was all over the place.
That is one of my favorite parts because if you notice, like Eddie Murphy's comedic timing is so brilliant in this movie. Because like once he lets go of her coat, and he notices the cops, he immediately goes into Stevie Wonder, moving his head like he can't see, and he's scrolling. Hey man, what's up? It's so perfect the way he just like slips into it. I got legs.
Excuse me. Can I have everybody's attention, please? Excuse me. Hey, everybody, get the fuck out.
Get out of my house. It is good. It's a great movie. He's hilarious. And then
that's the motherfucker. I mean, gentleman who I saw the other day and ran into. Put me in jail.
I love how he does that, catches himself saying the F word like that, like when he's talking about the pork bellies.
Movie,
yeah, when he's like talking about the pork bellies, it's like, when your wife won't and your wife won't. When he says that, when he's talking about people
make love to you.
Yeah, make love to you.
I love how he breaks the fourth wall like 2 or 3 times in the movie, and Dan Aykroyd does once too. But yeah.
And then we got Denholm Elliott, who's great as the butler. He's great as the butler in the movie. But it's fun, and I know we're all talking like Eddie Murphy because Eddie Murphy steals the damn movie. He steals the movie. It's great. It made his whole career. But yeah, it's a good movie, and that he's not in the chat tonight, but he's usually in the chat. Dan Blackroyd. We get a scene in the movie. Huh? Yeah, we get a scene in the movie where you probably couldn't pull that off today at all because Dan Aykroyd does blackface. He paints himself up as a Jamaican on in a train. Him and Eddie Murphy, do this little bit together. Hubba, what do they say? Oh, I can't remember what it is. It's like the way they're doing that, but it's like
Happy New Year.
yeah, Happy New Year.
We say Merry Merry New Year. He says Merry New Year, and then he goes, we say Happy New Year here in America.
It's such a good movie. It's got so many great quotable lines.
I'm from Sweden. Yeah, I'm Inga. But you're wearing lederhosen.
Yeah, but I'm from Sweden.
I think I've only seen Eddie Murphy in Daddy Daycare, Dr. Dolittle, and the Nutty Professor. Otherwise,
really?
I don't think I've seen him in any other
my
movies.
God, Tom.
So in other words, you haven't seen Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, you've seen Eddie Murphy after he killed Eddie Murphy.
I mean, yeah, because I'm kind of as I'm thinking back on those movies, I think Daddy Daycare was funny, but I don't really remember. I don't remember if the other ones were actually funny or not. Yeah, I don't think I've seen him in that many things. So that'll be interesting to see him in this.
This is Eddie
you
Murphy.
almost got to see. I don't know. You almost got to see. Well, I mean, this is prior to Beverly Hills Cop, but Beverly Hills Cop is.
Now you want me to see that one too? Sure. I've seen World Class Bullshitters. Has talked them up for the longest time with the Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop is his masterpiece.
Yeah, I'm imagining Sean Crummel's face right now. He's just like, that fucking kid, kill him, kill him.
He's not that happy.
48 Hours is really good too. Yeah, Brad's right. I mean, Eddie Murphy, his basically 1982 to 1994 catalog is amazing, and then you got to kind of pick and choose after that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, guys in the chat, let me know what other movies you want me to check out, because I got more, so I can do some more picks that you guys want to hear my opinion on with it. But yeah, I'm just letting you guys know I haven't seen that much of Eddie Murphy. Now I'm thinking about it. I've seen him in SNL a few times.
It's just, I wonder if he shouldn't start with Trading Places, then Beverly Hills Cop, then 48 Hours. I almost feel like that. I might be wrong, but that might be the better way for him to experience them. But I could be wrong.
I think you're probably right. Could you ease him in with Trading Places? That way he's sort of in an ensemble with Dan Aykroyd, and Dan Aykroyd was the bigger star. And
it's the more accessible film as well.
The more, and then you ease him into Beverly Hills Cop, and then 48 Hours, and you go from there. Yeah, I think that would be great. That would be good. That's a good plan.
48 Hours, and I've made this. I think I said this on here when I brought it on last time. 48 Hours is a much different film than the rest of the movies. 48 Hours, I've called the last film of the 70s, even though it came out in 1982, because it feels so much like a 70s movie.
You almost forgot Coming to America. You could probably throw Coming to America in there.
That's a definite one eventually, but that's a good one to follow up with after Trading Places, actually.
Yeah, I know. I almost went to watch Coming to America after I watched Trading Places, because I've actually gotten the habit of watching them back to back the past couple years. Usually in December, though. I usually do it in December, but the 4K came out a little earlier, and I wanted to watch it. So,
start with Trading Places.
I love it. Fuck you. Yes. Fuck you too.
It's actually kind of funny, yeah. Because as I'm thinking about it, it's like I've always. The consensus has been Eddie Murphy's funny, but I'm like, what have I seen him in where I agree? So
if you actually become a fan after those couple movies, then you get to dive into Delirious and Raw, where you actually get to see Eddie Murphy be Eddie Murphy on
I'm hoping so.
Stage.
So far, my impression is he always plays these goofy characters and does fart noises, and it's I mean, I think in a time I would think those are funny.
Eddie Murphy is like the Michael Jackson of stand-up comedians.
I think I've seen some of his stand-up.
He has not done a stand-up comedy act in over 35 years because the last one was so fucking good, right? I don't think he thinks he can. Delirious and Raw are two of the greatest concert films of all time, hands down. In my top 5, he's probably one of the only ones who has 2 in my top 5 as far as comedy concert films. I mean, just. Nobody can beat his timing from beginning to end. Those specials are fucking laugh a minute. the ending is even just fucking hilarious as fuck when he talks about his dad being drunk at the end of both. It's great. It's like, this is my house. You know what it is? And if you don't like it, you get the fuck out. So what? I'm drunk. I'm drunk and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And hey, kiss my ass if you don't like it. I got drunk in my house, drinking out of my glass in my motherfucking kitchen. And you can kiss my ass if you don't like it. Eddie, get that dog away from my food because I'm going to shoot the motherfucker. That's right. I'm going to shoot him, Eddie, because you don't take care of the motherfucker. The dog's the shit in the den, Eddie. You don't take care of the dog. You don't pick up after him. I'm going to shoot him. All right. Well, then you can get the fuck out. You can take the dog and you get the fuck out. This shit has been in the den for 6 months, Eddie. It's hard as a rock. I put my drink on it the other night. My friend said, that's beautiful. I said, it's not beautiful. It's a piece of shit. It's not Scooby-Doo, motherfucker.
He's so great.
I know you're 7. I know you're 7, but you can get the fuck out.
Okay, if I get it now, it'll be here by the 18th.
But
Eddie Murphy Raw is the second part. Delirious
Trading
is the
Places.
first one. But, Trading Places. Okay.
yeah.
Right.
Well,
Yeah, no, I think I've seen a stand-up. I used to watch a lot of stand-up comedy.
I'm still waiting for this on Blu-ray, like they said we were supposed to get. So
Lillian cannot use the phone ever again. And since you're such a smart motherfucker, can't leave the house no more either. I don't give a fuck if the house is burning down. I come home and I see the fire department here. I said, how'd you find out about the fire? They say, your wife called us. I'll kick your motherfucking ass.
Yeah.
Your wife's a Bigfoot, isn't she, Gus? Because the bitch can't walk a flight of steps. The bitch can't speak. You shaved her down and you taught her to speak. Because she can't speak well, Gus. I know a Bigfoot when I see one. You bring a Bigfoot in my home with my children.
Oh,
You didn't meet your wife on no fucking camping trip. She ain't no Puerto Rican. You know how I know this? I thought I learned some no Puerto Rican shit. She's like, hey, I'm Vernon. Nice to meet you. Hi, I'm Bunny, Goonie Goo Goo. So I go up to my friend, hey, Sanchez, Goonie Goo Goo. He said, get the fuck out of here. I thought I learned some new Spanish shit. You know, and I figured it out. I was in the boat with your kids the other day. The hairy little motherfuckers, just like your wife. I was in the boat with them, and I seen them, and I give them the pole, and I give them the worm on the hook, and they put the pole down, and they looked at each other, and they put their heads in the water for 3 minutes. For 3 minutes, Gus. And they come up with fish in their mouth. And they looked at each other, and they go, Goonie Goo Goo. I said, what the fuck is this motherfucking shit? They're fucking Bigfoot. They're half Bigfoot, just like your wife. You shouldn't bring her around here, Gus, because she tears up my house.
Brooks
I
is
can
like,
do the whole fucking thing.
Gotta memorize.
You can take your Bigfoot wife, and you can get the fuck out and take your kids. And if my wife don't like it, she can get the fuck out too. You missed me, bitch.
Have a good one, Sean Crummel.
Is a
Have a good
shoe
one.
being thrown.
I'll find something. I'll watch Trading Places
Have a
and
good
see
night.
whether or not it makes you flip your desk or not. Next week.
Clean your palate. But
What the fuck were you doing in a disco with Danny Terrio?
Why was Eddie Murphy never the same after the 80s? I think it's because he grew up. Why did
you punch Jimmy Walker in the lips? I like good times. Oh, you took a punch and you look like Jimmy Walker? That'll do it. Wait, what? Lillian, get my pistol.
There was a thing.
So why did that man hit you? No, don't tell me nothing. I got one of those fathers. He gets drunk. He starts fucking up old Motown songs. No, don't tell me nothing, Eddie. Nothing from nothing means nothing. Had to do something. Motherfucker punch you in the mouth. What did you do, Eddie? It's probably for something you did when you was living here. Don't tell me nothing. Who broke that lamp in 1963, Eddie? It was you. I knew it was you.
News.
Go up and tell that man thank you. That's why he kicked your ass tonight. It's just like, what the fuck, man?
You memorize a lot of stuff, man. You got a lot of things down. I'll give you that. You got a lot of.
I was at a party once. They said Michael Jackson's here. And he says he's looking for you. I said, so? See, I did some jokes about Michael Jackson a little while back. You heard he didn't like him, but like Mike's a $105. I figured I'd kick his ass. Then I was at another party and somebody's like, Mr. T's looking for you. I'm like, oh shit, and I got the fuck up out of there. I want to fuck with Mr. T. I think Mr. T is not that bright, right? So like maybe I can use some Jedi mind tricks and shit on him and be like, boy, I heard you did some jokes about me. No, you didn't. Maybe I didn't. I'm gonna go beat up the food and tell me them lies. I'm gonna bend over. And when I do, I want you to fuck me. Slow down. I'm gonna clench my butt cheeks up and rip your dick off. That's two of them I'm mixing up. Sorry. That's the one he got in trouble for.
Yeah.
I got in trouble for making fun of the gay guys. Coming to San Francisco, all of a sudden it's like this fucking sirens and shit. Woo, woo, woo. Look over, it's just a guy on top of a roof going, woo, woo, pull over, pull over. I can't even say half the shit he says in that show.
No, you can't do that one.
You got any weapons on you? I'm gonna frisk you. What is this?
Yeah.
I used to play the fart game when I was a kid. You know what the fart game is?
No idea. A fart. Oh, fart.
I come in and say, who farted?
Right.
It's a fart game. Played the fart game once in the tub with my brother. That's how I got this cut above my eye. We sitting in the tub. See, we was broke motherfuckers. We didn't have money for like Mr. Bubble. So that's how we got bubbles in the tub. We just fought. Be like,
he uses it.
You can smell it. You can smell it.
He uses that in Trading Places.
Yeah. So one day I'm sitting there and I'm going, da 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 da, and G.I. Joe is swimming on the water. Da 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 da. And then he found a cave, so he ventured inside to find out from where the bubbles from whence they came. And my brother thought he'd be funny, so he took a shit in the tub. He comes up and he goes, and then a big brown shark came. So I lost my shit. I jumped up. I hit my head on the sink. And that's how I got that scar there, because my brother's standing there. I'm bleeding. My mother comes in the room. He's got a piece of shit in his hand. I got a G.I. Joe shoved up my ass.
All right.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. I'll keep going. Otherwise, I can't do the family reunion one. That's not even on Raw or Delirious. That's what it is.
Connor's Eddie Murphy. Everybody.
The Poltergeist one's a good one too, and that's not on those either.
Yeah.
That's the last one I'll do. I'll do this one because this is not on those. He goes, I got cable now, so I've been watching a lot of HBO. I've been watching movies and shit. And they got like Amityville on there and Poltergeist. And I'm just sitting here watching them. I'm thinking, shit, if these people were black, these movies wouldn't last very long. Like, baby, this is beautiful. We got this house for a nice price. Look at this place. It's huge. It's gorgeous. Nice walls and ceiling. Get out. Too bad we can't stay though. And I'm watching Poltergeist and I'm sitting here whining, well, get the fuck out of the house, man. Like, get the hell out. And like, go down to the cop shop and be like, hey, look, I just wanted to tell you, the TV, it ate my daughter. Yes, it ate my daughter. Of course I tried to save her. I changed the channel. The shit didn't work, so I got the fuck out. He said, what, you think I killed the bitch or something?
That's a great one. Breitbart wants to know, is Eddie better than George Carlin or Bill Cosby himself? He's way better than Bill Cosby.
Better than Bill. George is a god. George is the number one. Tim Richard Pryor than Eddie, in my opinion.
Yeah. I never really thought Bill Cosby was that great.
He's good for telling stories. He's got really great stories, and he's really good for just benign humor. But unfortunately he's tainted now, but because he's got some really great bits. I
Yeah.
mean, I could even recite some Bill Cosby bits, because even as a kid, like, Bill Cosby was one of the gods of comedy. I mean, that's what's sad is, I mean, he still would be on the Mount Rushmore of comedy had it not be for his indiscretions.
Right. But yeah, check out Trading Places.
Sorry, I went on a venture there.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I like Eddie Murphy. He's funny. But check out Trading Places. I think you'll really dig that one. Hopefully dig that one.
I just bought it, so I'll
there
get
you
it
go.
I'll get it by Saturday, and I'll
There
see.
you go.
I'll see what I think.
It's a holiday season movie. You can watch it for, like I said, Thanksgiving, Christmas, or New Year's.
I'll watch it on Saturday.
it's perfect timing. It's a great movie. Pick up the 4K if you guys want, because it's actually a pretty good 4K. It's better than most Paramount crap that we've been getting. I mean, like Tom says, I commend Paramount for giving us a lot of the movies we want. They just need to start doing better on their scans. At least this scan, and what I'm hearing from Scrooged, is a decent scans. So
I previewed Scrooged and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
So that I can say.
Yeah. We'll probably have Scrooged in December, because I usually don't watch it till December because it's a Christmas movie. So that's how I roll. But yeah, there you guys go. Trading Places is great. And the sound isn't too bad on it either. I actually could hear everything that was being said in pretty good sound. So I'd give the sound a B. So with that being said,
The only thing I would bitch about the sound is they don't have the original sound mix for purists.
yeah, it's the
That's all.
5.1 True HD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
It doesn't
fine.
really-
But
yeah.
I can't remember if it was mono. I think it was mono originally. So in that sense, just in general, I don't always prefer the original mix, but sometimes I do just for reference, and especially if it's a mono mix. I know some people are really upset when they don't include that, or even the original stereo mix can have variances. So
Yeah. All right. So since Rook, you don't have any more, Tom, do you want to go, or do you want me to go for my final pick, or your final pick?
it's up to you. How do you want to do this?
I'll do mine real quick, because my final movie probably isn't one that's going to get a lot of talking. I'm not sure if a lot of people actually like this movie. But I'll go ahead and do it. I watched Here Comes the Boom with Kevin James, with a really bad Photoshop of him on the cover here. I actually like this movie. It's not a bad movie. So I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. Rook, I would assume you probably have not seen it.
I feel like I've seen a lot of movies like that. No, I don't think I've seen that specific one.
Yeah. It's a fun movie. I like it. I think it's pretty funny. It's basically Kevin James is this high school teacher, and there's a bunch of budget cutbacks at the school and everything. So he becomes a UFC fighter. He goes out and he starts fighting like UFC style fights and making money to help the school, to help the music program and stuff. And he starts getting some attention, and he makes those all the way up to an actual UFC fight, and it's got actual UFC fighters. It's got Joe Rogan in it and all them, and he goes and makes it to a UFC fight, and it's like a Rocky underdog type story with Kevin James and Selma Hayek, and Henry Winkler is always good in the movie. It's fun to hear. This movie, let alone, is one of the best scenes is just hearing Henry Winkler sing the song "Here Comes the Boom" as an old like style folk song.
What is here comes the
here comes
the
boom, ready.
Like, I'm thinking of The Longest Yard or something where they play that stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Henry Winkler sings it with a little car. Here comes the boom. Here comes. It's just
Here
great.
comes the Jimmy Chum Chum. Yeah.
It's a fun movie. It's not bad. You got. It's probably one of Kevin James' better films. Which I don't mind Kevin James. I think he's funny in certain things. But yeah. As I said, that was my final pick. I didn't think a lot of people would talk about it, but it's fun. I like the movie.
Chat, roast him, guys. Do something.
This isn't a movie like Ghostbusters or Gremlins or something.
No, there's no nostalgia, love, or nothing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't remember this being a very successful movie when it came out, but I always
This looks like a lot of movies that I've seen. I think like maybe even of this time. I'm not sure. It
Let's
looks
see.
familiar to a lot.
2012
with different characters. Even 2012. Yeah, between like the 2000s and 2012. Yeah, I mean it just seems.
What the fuck was the movie again?
Oh, you
Here
didn't
comes
see
the
it?
boom.
Here comes the boom with Kevin James.
Oh,
like I said, I don't know if you've seen it or if you ever liked it. I always kind of like the movie. I think it's funny. Yeah, Kevin James is cardboard Chris Farley. That's not far from the truth there.
I don't even know if I'd really
why-
compare the two, to be honest.
I figure that's why Adam Sandler likes hanging out with him. I think he reminds him, but yeah, they're not. I wouldn't say they're in the same league.
I always feel like Chris Farley always has a lot of energy compared to him.
Yeah, Chris Farley.
So he's always going on 11 with his comedy and whatnot. So yeah.
But like I said, I figured that would be I'd do mine because I didn't think there would be a lot of conversation about that. I assume you probably didn't like it, Tom, and that's okay.
Criticize it.
Never seen it. I'm not a Kevin James fan at all.
I get you.
Last week, a week before, I was getting him confused with Kevin Smith.
Actually, I kind of know some people who kind of know him, and I've heard that he's kind of a dick. So yeah,
I could see that. Honestly, I could see that. But
so
yeah,
I've never been a fan of his, really. I mean, I might actually have the King of Queens show because somebody sent it to me. I think
I've seen some episodes of King and Queen. It's not bad. It's all right. If it's right in there with sort of like the My Wife and Kids and I wouldn't say the same as Married with Children ish, but it's sort of coming out of that area, right? Like somewhat.
Yeah,
I assume.
But I kind of like. I think that's probably his best movie. Actually, I think that might be the only movie of his I own.
Like I remember seeing Mall Cop, and I was like, I mean, I get it, but it wasn't that funny to me. I was like, I feel like this would be funny with different people in it, maybe like that could pull off the stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to think what else I've seen Kevin James in. I don't even know.
Just the way I said, I think Here Comes the Boom is probably his best movie. In my opinion, it's a sort of like a Rocky underdog type movie, and plus Selma Hayek and Henry Winkler. I'm sold on those two. But like I said, it's nothing. Nobody likes it, nobody likes it. Go ahead, ream into it. It was nothing special. It's just I was bored and I decided to watch that movie. So, but
Peter
that was
says you guys know too many people.
There's
a lot of connections.
Yeah, so here you go. There's my final pick. Let's go to you, Tom, for your final pick of the night. What do you got for us? I don't know if you heard.
Sorry, I was on a way different window there.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Okay, how do I go about doing this? These were movies growing up. I'm really curious if Rookie's ever seen them. I have several copies of them, but we'll start with the more latest one that just came out. This is a group of films, 7 films to be exact.
You're in luck with this one with Rookie.
Oh, he has seen them. Okay, well, the Police Academy films, of course.
Yes, dude. Yeah, we talked about him last week a little bit. Yeah, dude.
I thought maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got the new 7-disc set from Shout Factory here. It's got about 5 discs in it altogether. The first movie's on its own disc. The special features are on their own disc, and then the rest of the films are combined. But they're all from new scans of Inner Positives. And they all look pretty good for the most part. The only one I had any issues with was part 3 for some reason, and I kind of know why. That comes from that era we've talked about before where there was a really grainy film stock.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few scenes that have some really overdone DNR on them, but not that many. And I'm assuming Warner Brothers would have done these scans.
Yeah.
But no, they look really good. I wish they had done something with the sound. It would have been nice for the movies to get a nice sound upgrade, but next year is the anniversary of the first film, so who knows, maybe Warner Brothers will get something together for next year. At least a 4K of the first film would be nice, and then I mean of all the films would be nice, but I mean especially of the first film. But I mean of those first 4.5 of the movies are fucking brilliant. From 5 on, they kind of go downhill, but
Yeah.
to me, they peak at 4, and like 1, 2, 3, and 4 are
Yeah,
almost all equally good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did feel
Of
like there was
course.
some excess afterward. It was like we still have characters and we could still put them in situations.
Here's the old imported Blu-ray most people have.
I was going to buy that
here's
one,
the
but I wanted to wait in
old
case they had
ass-
another one. Yeah.
Old ass set here.
Look at that.
Yeah, this
Damn.
is 2004. This came out, I think it was, for the
Dang.
20th anniversary.
Wow.
And I even have the only sole volume that's been released of the animated series, and it's also got a TV series as well. But no, they've compiled all the old special features from the old DVDs onto here, plus some new stuff. I guess there's a new documentary in the works. It hasn't been released yet, but it seems to be from the same people who produced RoboDoc and the Robert Englund one and stuff like that,
Nice.
and the Fright Night one. And it's called What an Institution, and it looks like it's going to be a huge documentary coming up pretty soon. But no, I mean, I just thought this was a nice surprise. I wish it had been 4K. It'd be nice to get some more special features. Oh, they also added some. They collected up all the TV and additional scenes they could off of various sources online. And a nice collection of trailers and such. So it's a nice rounded out little package for Shout Select. A little pricey. I think it's like $69 is what it averages for.
Yeah.
But I mean, you get 7 movies in there.
I mean, that's not bad. I mean, 7 movies for $60. That's not bad.
Oh, do you have a favorite of the Police Academy?
Of course, the first one's the best.
Yeah.
But a personal favorite of my sequels is part 4.
Which
Yeah,
one's
I don't specifically remember part 4.
Citizens on Patrol.
Oh yeah, that's what I was
when there
going
was
to
like
say.
there's like a bunch of like writing kids, sort of like teenagers.
Drop the parachute.
Like they're skateboarding around more or something. They're going
Drop
around
the
town.
parachute. Come on. Don't force them if you don't want to do it.
What's the name of that actor that has like
Bobcat
the
Goldthwait.
voice? He's kind of got
Bobcat
a voice.
Goldthwait.
Yeah,
Bobcat Goldthwait. Yeah.
I don't
That's
know
what
why,
I was
but
gonna say.
as weird as he sounds, I like him. I don't know why. He sounds funky.
Oh,
and,
Bobcat Goldthwait was awesome. He's awesome. I mean, he directs more than anything now.
Really?
After he got
Wow.
cancer, he kind of slid into the background. But like, I mean, Police Academy was his first big break. Part 2, he played the villain, of course, and then continued on. But then after that, he had a few other movies that did okay, but then he just kind of slipped to behind the camera. And now he even directs like Late Night or something like that. One of the talk shows at night and some other shit. Yeah.
I thought he was dead or something. So
No, he actually got cancer, but he
not.
survived. Yeah.
I'm glad he's not dead. Good. Wow. Okay. Good for him.
Yeah.
Was there? So you since you guys probably both know more about the making of Police Academy, I never looked into it, but like, was there a goal for what they wanted to have with the series as it was? Because the first film was obviously the most like best structured as a story for what happens. Second one was pretty good too for a continuation. I don't remember specific 3. I remember bits of 3 and stuff.
Okay,
Like,
I'll break them all down for you.
Was there any type of goal?
It was never meant to be a series to begin with. I mean, you had stuff like the Keystone Cops and other things that kind of, and you had recently Police Squad. So I mean, Funny Cops was nothing new. What you had though was this guy who, the hell's his name? I just forgot it now. The producer of all of them, Paul Maslansky, I think it is. Yeah, Maslansky. I was right. He was working on the movie The Right Stuff, and they needed security when they were redoing. They were doing the parade for the astronauts or whatever when they came back, and the ticker tape parade. I was trying to think of the word, and they needed security for the set, and they were promised some cops from the local police, but there was something else going on that required the regular cops, so they sent over a bunch of recruits from the police academy instead. And he noticed as they started getting off of the bus, he's like, those aren't cops, because they were like of all kinds of shapes, sizes, all that kind of business. And of course, at this time, it was very rare for, just about anybody who wasn't of fit shape. And in most cases, even there wasn't even that many women yet that were cops, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, So like just for him to see all these people that were not, you know, the typical cop types coming out, he was just kind of confused, and he said something to the head guy, and he's like, "Oh, these are a bunch of people from the police academy because of, I think there was a football game or something was going on that they ended up needing extra security for. So all the cop guys were over there." He's like, "These are just the new recruits, and all you need them is for simple security, so they'll be able to handle it." He's like, "Well, they don't look like regular cops." He's like, "What's the deal?" He goes, "Well, our new governor or whatever has got this harebrained idea about being all inclusive and shit." He goes, "But the best part is we can flunk them out after 3 weeks." so, so like it was at the beginning of this whole, you know, anybody and everybody can do this shit kind of thing. And so that was kind of the first spark of inspiration, was like, okay, so what if you got this like ragtag team of police officers together that were, you know, kind of against the grain, but they actually kind of worked together. Of course, it was partially inspired by Stripes a little bit too, of course. It was right after Stripes had come out, if you're familiar with that, Brooke. And at the end of the day, he was talking to the officer some more, and he said they even gave him the end of the movie at that point, because he was talking about how this one time they had fucked up and sent these rookies out where there was this riot going on, and they were supposed to send them to the other side of town where there was no rioters. They were just supposed to contain the area, and they ended up sending them to the middle of the riot. So he's like, they gave me the end of the movie right there. And so he had this kind of core concept, and the basic story kind of came together. It was written over time. And then, but certain characters like Jones was, Michael Winslow's character, the guy who does all the noises. He was directly written into the movie. Like they saw him live and they're like, "Oh, we got to put this guy in the movie." Right.
Yeah, he's one of the most memorable parts that I remember from Police Academy. All those weird sound effects that he does, and doing the Japanese like talk or dubbing over himself sort of when he talks, like, yeah.
It's kind of funny how, you know, they just and actually they had thought of like Tom Hanks actually for the Mahoney role originally.
Yeah, I couldn't see that. That wouldn't have worked.
And of course they, you know, did open casting for everybody else. Of course, Bubba Smith was just like a inspired choice, being that he was just fresh out of football and wanting to get into acting, and just his characters. I mean, all these, that's the other beauty of this movie, is just these characters are so well defined, right?
Yeah.
And they did such a great job to cast to part. The only big difference is like Marion Ramsey is nothing like Hooks in real life. Of course, Leslie Easterbrook is not a, you know, that stern in real life, but I mean, you know, she is a very beautiful, gorgeous, 6 foot, big titted blonde.
Yeah.
You know, it just so happens to. And it's funny is she was another one who changed the script, because in the original script, she was supposed to be more like a school marm type, more of a counterpart to Harris. And when she come in and she did the role the way she did it, the way she did commanded the, you know, the room, they're like, "Oh, we got to put this in here." So then she inspired them to write the other part with the whole like you know, stuff with Martin, Steve Martin or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah.
The guy who talks with the accent or whatever. So
Yeah,
like
the Cuban
that was
Mexican
another thing that kind of came later. So a lot of this movie kind of came together as it was, you know, the cast was coming together, the ideas were coming together. There is some improvisation. Not as much as you would think in some scenes.
The Blue Oyster was the inspiration. Well, that story. That's like one of the most consistent things.
In the 80s, man.
One of the most consistent things in the movies is there's always the Blue Oyster bar or something coming around.
It always gets a laugh, man. It always gets a consistent laugh. And it's like, the best part is it's like how they always manage to bring it in a way in the sequels where you don't expect it, and then when it happens, right?
Yeah, they run into a building. Oh no!
And the best one has to be in part 3, right? Because that's when Proctor goes in naked. But no, like, you know, you got Harris played by G.W. Bailey, who's just fucking brilliant in the role. I mean, he just chews the scenery as Harris. I mean, just some of the more quotable lines, of course, that come from the film, you know, is like, "Can I get out of here, sir?" "No, you're stuck here." "So I'm sorry, no, you can't quit," or whatever. "So I'm stuck here. Aren't we all?" You know, like shit like that. And just, I love Lassard. I mean, he's a lovable goof. I mean, all these characters are so great. Tackleberry, they're all great characters. You know who they are by name. You know their tropes, you know their types. and they did such a great job of just playing to their strengths in the sequels. And so the second film, of course, they graduate, so you gotta, give them their first assignment.
Give them the first time, yeah.
Right, and then focus on some of the characters are dropped from the first film.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they had that. And then they also noticed that the kids also liked the movie, so they started to tame off on the R-rated. Because initially, the studio was kind of pissed. They wanted it to be raunchier, the first one. Because this was in the era of Stripes and Porky's and that kind of thing. They got this thing, and they're like, where's all the tits and ass? Like,
yeah. Good night, Brian Barth. Have a good one.
Yeah, take care, Brian. But no, like, I mean, it's so the second film come out, and what's brilliant I love about the second film is that it's a great example of what PG-13 could do back then. Like, they literally got away with doing everything they did in the first film, but they got a PG-13 just because that rating did not exist between the time the first movie came out and the second one, right? So there's a movie franchise that benefited from that. And really, by the time you get to the third film, they realized, well, all you got to do is take the tits out of it, and we'll get a PG.
Yeah,
right.
and so the third film really played towards, and that's when I kind of I saw the movies growing up, and the first movie, a lot of the jokes went over my head. Second film, I got a little bit more. The third and fourth film, that's why the fourth film is kind of a personal favorite of mine. Those as a kid, I really got all the jokes. Like, those were more on my level. Those are definitely aiming more towards the kid audience. And that's definitely the inspiration off where the cartoon comes from too, is the third and fourth film. And the third and fourth film feel almost like they could be the same fucking movie. Like, that's the weird thing too. The only thing I don't like about the third film is that it's basically a remake of the first one. In a lot of ways. There's like even jokes are like scenes are played out.
They tend to kind of repackage the same jokes.
They repurpose a lot of the stuff, but the plus part of part 3 is the return of Proctor, and I do like Mauser. Mauser and Proctor were always a good pair.
Yeah.
But I love that the chemistry between Proctor and Harris is even better. And that's one of the reasons why I love part 4. Don't touch those. I don't want anybody touching my balls without asking.
Oh, good.
Proctor. And when he yells Proctor, it's just so much better. Like, I like Mauser, he's great, but they needed Harris. And that was the other thing, is when they got to the fourth film, it was supposed to be Mauser again. But they were like debating, well, we can get GW back this time. Should we do it? And they're like, yeah, because he was the better of the two. And, even though the director was friends with the guy who played Mauser, they're like, we got to let you go because we want to bring back Harris. And they should have actually brought him back in part 3. That's the sad part, is he should have been at the other academy in part 3. But still, they got him back for part 4. Part 4, of course, is the funner one, because it's this whole idea that the police academy is putting on this deal for the citizens on patrol, which was very much a thing at the time with the community outreach things going on with the police. And it was a little bit extra steps beyond just community watch. Like, this was an actual thing that was going on at the time, kind of thing. So I love that aspect of it. Zed gets more screen time in that one. Mahoney probably has his second best love interest, because Kim Cattrall and Sharon Stone are probably the two that stand out the most. Everybody forgets the one from part 3, right? Like, nobody even remembers her.
You don't remember her. Yeah.
Nobody even fucking remember. You didn't even have one in part 2. Like,
I don't remember.
That's my point. So people don't even remember in between there. But Sharon, like, that's what I like about Mahoney's character in part 3. He gets to ride off into the sunset in a hot air balloon with Sharon Stone. So in my head canon, her and him got together. They went and got married, and they're doing Mahoney.
They're doing fine. They're doing
doing the Mahoney. Yeah.
They're doing the Mahoney.
And then you got the Sweet Chuck Zed, thing with 2 and 3 and 4 that really, really upped the ante for the humor there, because their camaraderie, and especially when you get Sweet Chuck being tutored by Tackleberry, trying to make him a man, like, that kind of stuff's real great.
Kind of fun.
And you got Randall Tex Cobb as a great fucking bad guy in the fourth film, even though most of his stuff gets cut out in the original version. That's the beauty of the Blu-rays. They have all the deleted stuff. But he's a great, comedic heavy usually.
Yeah.
And no, like, the fourth film is just kind of where they peak. And then the fifth film, I'm watching it this time. I mean, I remember liking it as a kid. I just always didn't like it so much because I'm like, no Zed, no Mahoney, stuff like that. It kind of bothered me. This time out, I'm watching it and I'm like, you know what? I don't mind Lassard's nephew. And it kind of helped me enjoy part 6 a little bit more because I kind of started liking his character a little bit more because he's not Mahoney. He's not the same guy.
He's not,
right?
yeah.
But I liked the idea that he was going to be the next generation of Lassard coming in. So that this time watching it, I appreciated that more compared to when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, I hated part 6. Fucking hated part 6. And of course, that's the one that they showed all the fucking time on HBO. I swear it was on every other day for 5 fucking years straight. It's Police Academy 6 every day. It's like, can you show any of the other Police Academy movies? Please,
the better
for the love of
ones.
God. For the love of God. For the love of God. You know, like
Yeah,
they did. Like, they must have had it. They must have had the deal where they could just show it endlessly because it was on almost all the fucking time for years. Just that one.
I don't remember all the details from the 5, 6, and 7, but they kind of I can only just remember bits and pieces that were funny, like mostly with Jones that were stand out.
And I kind of appreciate the sequels a little more as an adult because I get to enjoy more of Lassard's stuff. Like as a kid, he was just the doofy adult character. I didn't care, whatever, you know. Like outside of a few jokes, he was kind of dumb. So that's where this time part 5 resonated with me just a little bit more. Like I'm like, okay, I love the Lassard stuff. That's really sweet and touching, and then especially the funny bits with him not realizing he's being kidnapped. Oh, these are real criminals, kind of thing. In that case, you know,
his comedy was always very simple. Like put this fish on the stove or something, and it's like, oh, you know, your fish.
Well, he always had his best bits in the first film until the 5th. Now I realize that Lassard's shining moments are in the 1st, 5th, and 7th film, right? Like that's where Lassard gets his best bits. Because I mean, you got, you know, like when they're bitching in the office and he doesn't even know how to react to the chief when he's like, the governor thinks this is a good idea to allow everybody in the academy. And I liked it when it was better, when all you seen was Johnson's as far as the eye could see. So what do you have to say to that, Lassard? He's just sitting there searching for the words, and he's just like, a bitch. And of course, the ending is the best part, you know, with the twist and the podium deal. It's like,
I was about to say that. Yeah,
to get rid of Mahoney. Why? What did he do?
Out, he's like, oh no.
He did a very bad thing.
You see, I definitely want to rewatch the first 2. I think even
good speech.
I'm starting to remember 3 as well. But yeah, I don't know.
He's got some fun moments because that's where we get Takashi, or I think it's Takashi is his name for the first time, or whatever it is. Takagi, I think it is one of the two. The guy who does Leonardo's voice and who plays in Revenge of the Nerds, he's in it, and get a few new recruits that are really good in part 3, especially like I said, the Zed and Bobcat Goldthwait stuff.
For the rest of them, they might have a plot, but like those are so. The other ones seemed more clear, and then just the other one, I don't know. The other ones, I don't remember.
They all have a pretty good plot. Really the second film is that you got the city being taken over by the gang that Zed runs.
Yeah, that was
so
good.
They break that gang up, and that's how they save the day in the second film. Third film is the 2 competing police academies. The state decides they don't need 2 academies, so one has to go. Lassard's wins. Part 4 is about citizens on patrol. It ends with a jailbreak, and they're at a hot air balloon race. So that's where the movie kind of goes in its own direction. But I love what's her face, the old lady. This was Tackleberry.
Right.
Mind if I squeeze off a few rounds of that? Damn, that was fun. I
remember.
I want to sit around here and listen to Arteries Arden. I love her character. She's like 80 some fucking years old. She's just a pistol. Yeah, and then like the 5th film is Lassard is being forced to retire because they find out how old he is, but he's also being honored as the police officer of the decade in Miami Beach. So they go to Miami Beach. He gets kidnapped. He thinks it's just a thing because they demonstration
they're doing or something.
Well, they do a demonstration every year, and he even brings it up earlier in the movie where like, I can't wait to see what you guys have in store this year. He talks about some of the stuff they did previously, like arrested everybody and stuff like that. So he thinks that this kidnapping is part of the whole game or whatever, like you said,
like a weird hazing, but on your way out or something.
Well, it was just kind of a demonstration they do because they're police officers or whatever, just to kind of test their to show off and test their things and whatever. Anyway, but like, so that's kind of the plot of that one. The sixth one is the city's under siege, under a crime wave, with meticulous crimes. I don't hate the sixth film as much now. Like I watch it now and it's like, okay, it's got its moments. And the story's okay. It's just not as good as the other one because it just doesn't have the panache or the humor, but it has some good moments in it. Looking back in retrospect now, the seventh film is where shit went off the fucking rails. The seventh film doesn't even feel like a Police Academy movie half the time. The only times it feels like it's a Police Academy movie is in the Lassard scenes, and that is it. That is the only redeeming value of the movie. Even it feels like they were paying Michael Winslow by the line. It's like motherfucker gets 2 lines in the whole movie. Otherwise, it's like all he gets to do is make noises.
That's one where they go to Moscow, right?
Yes, Mission to Moscow. It is. And I'm watching it now, and I'm going like, you know what? They had an opportunity here with this movie, and it's like it's almost like they got the clearance to shoot in Moscow before they had a finished script. It's pretty much what it is.
Like, Police Academy in Moscow. Yeah. All right, what's the plot? Shut up.
Pretty much. I mean, the plot is that they've created a game. It's just kind of funny because this is right after the Tetris craze, which I'm sure that's what inspired it because that came out of the Soviet Union. But like, so there's this game that's taking over the nation or whatever, and that's tied in with this criminal who's like this big mastermind played by Nukem, played by Ron Perlman. And that's the other thing I'm sitting here going watching it this time because I got Claire Filoni, Ron Perlman, and Christopher Lee in this movie.
Ron Perlman in a Police Academy movie.
So I'm going, okay, so you spent all your money on those 3 instead of actually getting the cast back. That's what happened here. Okay, I gotcha. Because we literally have 3 members of the original cast and they're hardly in the movie. Right? Like I said, Michael Winslow gets like 2 lines. Leslie Easterbrook gets the most to do. So this is the first movie where she gets actually a subplot that has nothing to do with her sleeping with one of the cadets. So that, I guess, is a plus. And then you've got, obviously, George. You got, 4 if you count George Gaines. But you also have Tackleberry, who barely has a presence in the movie.
Right.
Like, I mean, he's barely even fucking there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you have the most American in the fucking world, and dumping him in the former Soviet Union, the most communist place ever. What the fuck are you? You've got jokes galore here. And not only that, you've got Captain Harris running around without Proctor. So there's 5, I forgot. So I'm like, why the fuck do you have, that's why I keep forgetting he's in the movie, because he's barely there. It's like, why do you have him not have Proctor? Those 2 were simpatico at that point. It doesn't work because you got basically, because the whole joke is Harris isn't incompetent, Proctor is. And he keeps fucking everything up. So in this movie, you make Harrison incompetent. So it's like, that doesn't make no fucking sense.
Yeah.
It's like, he's not the one who's incompetent. It's fucking Proctor who keeps fucking with him.
Exactly.
So it doesn't feel like a Police Academy movie. They introduce a new cadet named Connor, Connors.
Introduce a new cadet in Police Academy 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just a brand new guy who's named Connors, who's a Mahoney wannabe, played by the guy who played Ferris Bueller on the TV show.
Oh yeah, Charlie Slatter.
That's his name. That's it. Yeah. So he was one of those guys they were trying to make happen that just didn't happen back in the day. And and he's got no chemistry with the rest of the cast. He gets most of the screen time besides Lassard. Christopher Lee's kind of wasted. Ron Perlman does all right, but the story is just so. The best thing about the movie is it's 83 movie. It's 83 minutes. That's the best thing about the movie.
Yeah,
it's short.
Good. Christopher Lee is in that movie.
That's what I mean. That's the only thing I can think of is they spent a bunch of money on bigger cast members to get the movie made in Russia. Because that was like, they were like the first movie to shoot there in, like forever or whatever. And like first American movie and since way back never.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
And it was a big deal for them. And like I said, it feels like they got the okay and the go ahead before they were actually ready to go. And they spent all the money on the bigger cast members like Christopher Lee and Ron Perlman and Claire Filoni instead of actually bringing back any of the other
the
typical members of the cast. Yeah.
with what I've seen Christopher Lee, and I can't imagine him in.
Basically, the cheapest members of the cast are in the movie. That's probably the case.
Yeah, that was my follow up. Was going to be: is there a main?
They didn't even get Bubba Smith. That's how cheap those bastards were.
Is there a main character to Police Academy at all, or is it really
in a
more
way
Hightower?
You basically got the trifecta of Hightower, Michael Winslow, and Mahoney. Mahoney is generally the main character. Right? Yeah, but he's only in 4 of them. But then second build is always Bubba Smith, and Bubba Smith was always there. So between Bubba Smith and Michael Winslow, those two were kind of the lead, quote unquote, who backing up Lassard in part 5 and 6.
But I feel like even in the movies, they're not really like stand out as the main characters.
No, but I mean, if everybody who gets the bigger arcs, it's Mahoney and Hightower, right? Hightower and Mahoney both get the main arcs in the first film. Hightower is the one who stayed the most consistently throughout the films. He gets top billing, I believe, in part 6. So
I guess that was one of my confusion things too, where I'm just kind of like, we just have like a random ensemble of characters that are doing things sometimes in some of the films that are.
It's not as random as it used to believe. I mean, maybe if you see them out of order, because like watching them this time back to back to back to back to back, and I've seen them a million fucking times.
Yeah, I've probably seen 5, 6, and 7 once, but I've seen the other ones multiple times probably.
Right, but I mean, this time around, I was surprised. I thought I was going to dislike them more because it's been a couple years since I've watched them. I ended up liking them more. like I've really got. I don't know, maybe it's nostalgia's part of it, but I like. A lot of the jokes still land for me. I laughed at some things I probably never used to laugh at so much more than I used to. Like I said, I ended up enjoying 5, 6, and 7 a little bit more than I used to. Like they're almost kind of like nostalgic in that way.
Yeah. Plus, like with the movies we get nowadays, watching stuff like that, even if, like you did, like you kind of find it more fascination. Yeah, you kind of like them a little more. And plus, you're like you said, you're older now, so you understand a little more of them. Watching them back and back.
Well, I see more in them that like I said, I could follow along more with characters like George Gaines. Like I said, when I was a kid, I could give a fuck about the Lassard storyline in part 5, right? Like the main reason I wanted to see it was shit like the shark scene, right? Like that as a kid, that's the stuff you want to see, you know?
Yeah.
Tackleberry scaring off a shark or driving a Bigfoot or Mahoney pulling some shit on Harris or you know, some situation where Harris is screaming Proctor, you know, the typical shit we want to see. Somebody stumbling into the Blue Oyster Bar. Which part 5, I think, is the only one that doesn't have a Blue Oyster Bar scene in it. I don't think. I'm trying to remember if 6 does. 7 doesn't either. But
yeah,
I think the only reason part 5 doesn't is because they're in Miami. But you think they could have done something with that being in Miami?
Yeah, Miami. Yeah.
Blue Oyster Bar Miami division would have been funny.
Funny.
More flamboyant than the other. But that's the other funny part about the making of the film is all the guys in the Blue Oyster Bar. Those are real gay bikers.
I can believe it. Yeah. Why get fake ones?
You know? Well, it was kind of like they're like, okay, we need a bunch of leather bar guys. And one of the wardrobe guys, I got friends. So 250 fucking bikers guys show up one day.
That's funny as shit.
And they picked the earliest guys they could find basically for the scene, but like, yeah. I was just like, I know guys.
Well,
the big thing was they got their own wardrobe. That's the other thing, so they didn't have to wardrobe them.
I found it really funny too, just because it's not like, you know, oh, it's the gay bar. Oh, gross. It cuts to them just dancing usually, like they're just dancing.
So what happened?
It's like
dancing, sir. Mostly dancing.
Yeah,
mostly dancing.
It's like, well, there's implied that other stuff happened, but we only see them dancing, so whatever.
I love a man who eats shrimp that way. You do? I love Proctor.
You do?
Hey, Sarge, I got those pictures you wanted of the fruits drunk at the bar. What? The fruits drunk at the bar, see?
Yeah.
What the? I said new recruits drunk at the bar. Well, if I put a hat and a suit on this, it's a dead ringer for Hightower, sir. Hey, where are you going? Should I keep these?
That's great.
I want to rewatch the first one now. At least.
Real quick, I would get to
Exactly.
2 super chats real quick that we got from Justin Proper.
Yeah, Justin Proper.
Yes. So first, the $2 super chat from Justin Proper says, "I will not forgive you for running the F-13 debate." That's on me. Him and ETEP were doing a Friday the 13th debate about whether Jason was something before he showed up, like, whatever, or was he actually a person? And I played him the clip from my Adam Marcus interview, what Adam thought. So they got mad at me.
You have evidence.
They got mad at me, but it's been a joke between us. And then also $5 super chat from Justin Proper. Thank you once again. Says also shout out to Tom for comparing me to Gene Siskel.
One time.
And also High Rookie one time, and he'll never let you forget it.
No.
But thank you so very much, Justin Proper, for those 2 super chats. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, man. But I had to show you guys what was up.
Right before the stream, I was watching a movie that he worked on, that he helped in some way with. So that was cute.
Cool. But any final words before we close this down?
Do you think they're gonna make? I heard they were gonna remake Police Academy.
They've been trying to do a new Police Academy for a while. I think Key and Peele was most recently attached to it. Honestly, I think a reboot would do best, and that is basically you get all that's left together. Like you got GW is really old. He's still with us, but he's really old. So I don't know if you really want to get him per se, but you could have what would be great is you could have Steve Guttenberg is old enough now that he's probably about the same age George Gaines was in the first film.
Yeah, he could be the head of
so
the
he could be
Academy.
the new commandant.
Do you think they can make a good reboot?
If you get enough funny people together and you don't try to pander to the modern audience, I mean, it's already woke enough with the idea that you're getting a ragtag misfit group together.
I was gonna say, it's a diverse cast.
It's already
one
pretty
of the
diverse.
definitions of it.
I mean, it's already very diverse. You have three of the main characters are black for one.
Yeah, one's a woman as well.
And one of those is a woman, exactly. And you know,
and she's
as
kind
you
of
get through,
fat-ish, so I mean, there's like
plus you go down the line, you get all kinds of even more varied characters throughout. So I don't think a problem will be getting a diverse cast. It's just get the right.
They
funny
have the
people
Blue
together.
Oyster Bar in there. They had gay representation. They had it all.
Well, now you actually can have a gay cop. That's the
yeah,
right. Well, it's like so. I don't think. I'm trying to think of what would be like the plot of a reboot Police Academy. I can't really see them.
just have. Again, you just get the right funny people together, and the story kind of you do something similar to the original, and just instead you have Mahoney now as Commandant Mahoney. Michael Winslow is there as kind of like one of the main guys too, still, and I mean those two at least can kind of carry you through the first movie or two to kind of get these new recruits, or whatever you're going to introduce. You get some young, funny guys. I mean. Too bad Chris Pratt is too old right now. He's the kind of guy I would go after for like a Mahoney type.
Yeah.
Right. Just kind of missed his mark. A few years ago would have been probably better.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I mean, you just kind of, and that's the way Mahoney can handle it. You get a guy in there. He's like, I used to be like you, that kind of a thing, and you can even have Sharon Stone pop up in a cameo as his wife. I mean, I'm not saying remake the first original movie, but just play into the idea that this is a new generation now. And this is this many years removed from the original movie, but as long as it's funny people and it's in the same place, and you've got enough of the original cast with Michael Winslow, and
I feel like having it relate to current issues in a way, this could be like how you said that they did with the original films.
You can even have in the background like a defund police thing happening to where they're worried about
where people don't even want police
getting closed or something.
Where like people don't want police, but there's also a lot of riots and like. Violent stuff going around that is getting looked over in some areas. Like what do they think if that happens to their town or something? Like what would, how would they react? I think they could, I guess, in thinking about it, could have something, but I don't know if the filmmakers would be competent enough to really make it that way without having it be shut down or something. Without going like,
I don't know.
Can't comment on that. Nope.
The weird thing is back then I'm surprised they didn't have a character like, Leslie Easterbrooks that was a lesbian. Because that's kind of more the normal type that would that was the one things that they really the only gay jokes that ever showed up were generally besides the Blue Oyster Bar were pretty tame. Like they didn't go after
the podium. Yeah, that was an implication. There's a lot of
implication there, but you clearly know that he figures it out because he ends up, whatever at the end.
He's like, oh, thank God you're straight.
Yeah. Well, just beyond that, he fucks with it because he gets him at the end with the hooker in the same hooker in the podium. Remember?
Yeah.
So anyway, but no, it's just if you do something like that, and you're right, you can kind of play into some modern isms. Like the idea that cops can't really do their job anymore and stuff like that. I mean, that was kind of the bitch about Tackleberry all the time. He's the representation of the excessive force. Like Tackleberry's quaint in today's standards. At best, you'd call him like a Trumper. You know what I mean? Like, that's it's just it. I mean, even as far as like police brutality standards, he's not even that bad. I mean, yes, he did some things that were definitely illegal, but I mean,
the lovable one that we loved,
but in like funny way. I mean, obviously funny ways, but I mean, at this point, you could play with a lot of that kind of stuff.
That's the problem. You got to do the comedy. You can't because like nobody can handle the comedy. They take it serious. Like, well, he can't be doing that. So you got to play with the comedy side.
When Witch Cop said, when they said the racist term to the girl, and then they just, oh no, and they just look at Hightower, and he just flips the car
that's
over.
The thing is, like, I think the first movie's the only one that has any racism in it, really.
And that I'd say that's soft racism. Like that's like
there's some soft racism. Yeah, the third film a little bit with what's his face, the Asian character.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, the movies were never mean-spirited, and outside of that first film, they really dropped a lot of the racial stuff.
Yeah,
but I mean, that was a common thing at that time, though. Too. That's the other thing.
But I'm saying, like, that was funny. Like, just even the reaction, like he said a bad word, and it's like just oh no, you can't say that to him. No.
Harris's reaction. Oh shit.
Yeah, like I love his reaction.
Hightower, you stand down. Hightower, don't you do it. Don't you do it.
He doesn't even hurt the other guy. He just flips the car over, and it's just like that's just kind of funny and how subtle that was. Or like even and then they're like when they tear out like, all right, you can teach him how to drive. All right, you don't fit in this car. Tear out the seat, and we'll sit in the back and see the car.
This is good. I was kidding about the front seat, but comfort's important.
It's like that was actually pretty funny. And then he's like, all right, press the brake. He doesn't. Just crashes into it. It's like,
oh, there's so many great scenes in the first film.
It shouldn't be that funny, but it kind of was. It's just like, hey, that was you should have done the brake and you didn't.
Like, I want you to hit me. You want me to hit? I don't want to hit you. Hit me. Just hit me. And he just slaps him. How was that? It was good.
It's good.
All right,
there's
some
great shit in that first movie.
I like Police Academy. Yeah,
I love them.
Great movies.
No, as far as like making wise, like I mean, the only things that I could really think of offhand that you guys might find interesting and just little things like that. Like initially they wanted like Tom Hanks and stuff like that. Like I said for Mahoney, but no, I mean there's some good stuff on there. I can't wait to see that documentary when it comes out, if it ever comes out, and so I guess that's got a lot of the interviews with people who are no longer with us too.
I think that was the next one he's working on.
Go ahead, FanZcene.
No, I was gonna say like the documentary because the guy that did the RoboDoc. I think that the Police Academy one is the next one that he's actually actively working on.
I think you're right because I actually just donated to it because I'm like, well, I'll take a chance. It's still open. The 2 top tiers are done, but I got, or the couple of tiers are gone, but I got the 1 tier I could get in on. Yeah. But no, like I guess they were working on it, but in 2019, it was when they were doing the last of the interviews. So they've gotten everybody's interviews from what I know. Like I said, they even got a few people that had passed since then. Steve Guttenberg was the last one, but I guess he gave them so much shit in the interviews, like so much stuff to work with, that it restructured the whole documentary I read. So we'll see how it goes, because I guess it's going to be split up like RoboDoc, it sounds like. Well, you'd almost have to with that many movies too. That was the downside of RoboDoc. I was hoping they'd get into the sequels and other stuff, and that's That's my only complaint with that. I was like, oh, you didn't get into any of the other stuff.
Yeah,
All
just
right.
got into the first
Well, I was
movie.
gonna say, you have a couple different versions of the Police Academy sets. Are there any like director commentaries or any? Like,
The first
extra
film has Paul Maslansky, a couple of the writers, Pat Proft, Lance Kinsey, who played one of the, I think that's Lance, which one's he? Not Copeland, but the other one. I can't think of his name now.
Scott says, Police Academy 15, put a chick in it, make it gay.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That'd be fine as long as I don't make it lame. You know?
Put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more fucking lame.
Anyway, and then it's got Steve Guttenberg, G.W. Bailey.
For commentary.
Or no, the commentary just has Steve Guttenberg, Michael Winslow, Leslie Easterbrook, Hugh Wilson, and Paul Maslansky. I'm sorry, I was reading the wrong thing.
I got you.
Okay, so yeah, it's got most of the main cast and the producer and director.
Cool.
Producer, writer, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
Well,
Proctor!
Proctor. Well, all right, guys, we've got another 3-hour show on our hands here, and it's time to close it down for the night. So thank you, Rook. Thank you, Tom.
We could have watched 2.5 Police Academy movies.
You're right. You're right.
Or at least 2.
We just watched Mission to Moscow again.
Lord.
But thank you, guys. Great picks tonight. Great conversation. To everybody.
I did watch one episode of the series.
Oh, did you? Go ahead. You can go with it.
I mean, I've seen it when I was a kid, but it is one of the worst series ever. What's sad about it is it's not so much like, I mean, the only thing that sucks about it mainly is the voiceovers they got. Like, they don't sound anything
Like
remotely like the original voices. Like, they're not even trying. Like, it's really weird. But other than that, I was like, whatever. So it's okay. It's just
yeah. Well,
it's kiddies. It's very
kiddie stuff. So it still amazes me all the R-rated movies got kids cartoons as when we were kids. It's amazing. Oh, excuse me.
I even had a bunch of the figures from this cartoon when I was a kid.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
I think I had almost all of them. The only ones I didn't have were like a bunch of the bad guys because I didn't even know who half of them were. I didn't care.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, I had Mahoney. I had Zed. I had Sweet Chuck. I had all the main ones.
Cool.
So,
it's nice.
Trying to remember who else there was. Jones, of course. Lassard, Hooks. Actually, I don't know if Hooks are. No, I don't think Hooks are. Now that I think about it, I take that back. So I don't think Hooks or Leslie Easterbrook's character got a figure for some reason. They just did the guys.
Weird.
But yeah, Hightower was the other one too I had.
Yeah. But thank you guys. Great conversation to everybody in the chat and everybody that's watching at home. Appreciate y'all. Thank you guys for hanging with us this evening. And since it's it's been a RoboCop kind of night, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.